Okay, good morning world. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. This is how we start our every Monday. Welcome to the program. The date is 2nd day of September. We have just crossed it. How are you doing? I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Whatever you did it to the best of your ability. My name is Victor. Now, at the top of the hour, we'll be taking a look at what is really happening in the country in as far as politics is concerned, our state of the nation, state of politics, and exactly what's affecting you. I'll be joined by Danson Mogatana, who is the Senator of Tana River. I'll also be joined by Francis Mongangi, the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. Karoli Omondi, who is the Member of Parliament of Super South, will also be joining me, as well as Catherine Omanya, who is the Woman Representative, Busia County. My name is Victor. Vivian.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was really, really good, aside from Kaleka team.
Regina.
But it's okay. By the way, guys, look out for your Manchester United friends and family members. Just check on them because things are not really good. Anyway, a very good morning to each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show. As always, we are more than pleased that you have chosen us to start off your morning. It is a new week and a new month. I hope that you are ready to take on this new month of September. My name is Vivian Dago, and today we will be looking at transforming cybersecurity with AI. And joining me for that particular discussion will be one Dastan Akwiri, who is the Vice President Strategic Partnership at CyberPro, and then we'll also be having Haida Chowdhury, and he is the CyberPro Head of Cybersecurity and AI. You definitely want to stay tuned for that conversation. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Vivian. Speaking of Manchester United, somebody texted me, I think it was out of frustration, and just sent me a text. Aki Hakaka team. I don't know what that meant, but that was that. Well, welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migo, and today, being a Monday on Transformative Leaders, we'll be looking at the relationship between faith and work. And to help me in that conversation in studio, or right from the United States of America, I'll be speaking to Dr. Julius Coons, who is the Director of Christians in the Marketplace. So you want to tune in to that conversation later on in the program. Now in studio is Abdi Aziz Hashim. How are you, Abdi?
Thank you so much, Mike. And of course, unlike Vivian and other Manchester United fans, we as the mighty Gunners, we are so okay. As much as for the hiccup with Brighton, but don't forget that Brighton still incurred damage.
You would have just left it Gunners.
Yes, the mighty Gunners. Yeah, we leave it there and then. Of course, before we even brief you, we have a lot in store for you. You've just heard from my colleagues. They'll be coming up shortly with those thought-provoking discussions. But for now, let's get to inform you on what is happening here in the country and beyond our borders. And unfortunately, we start off with sad news where police have commenced investigations into the gruesome road accident involving a van and a pickup truck at the notorious Nithi Bridge along Meru-Nairobi Road on a Saturday night that left 12 people dead. The accident involved a 10-seater van headed to Nairobi, and a Meru-bound pickup. The van was ferrying a group of business women from Ongata Rongai who had attended a social event in Meru. Tharaka Nithi Police Commander Zacchaeus Ngeno said the dead included 10 adults and 2 children.
A cloud of disbelief and grief hovered around Ongata Rongai market on Sunday. Today, unlike other days, the traders were in a somber mood. This is after they learnt of the tragic news that their colleague, who had operated in the market for the last 12 years, was no more.
Jerry alikuwa beshte yangu tu, but nilikuwa nimekaa almost a week bila kumuona.
A group of business women from the area had traveled to Meru for a social event of one of their members. However, at around 9 p.m., the Meru-bound pickup collided head-on with a 10-seater van that was headed to Nairobi. The family of Anjeri is still coming to terms with the grisly road accident.
Na tukapata habari kuwa msichana wangu na mtoto wake waliaga pale.
Nikiulizwa nikaambia Njeri alikuwa na mtoto, nikaanza sasa kupiga simu. Anti yake akiwa Chuka akaniambia haoni Njeri kwa Hondu. Sasa wanaenda kufunguliwa mochari.
The family has already dispatched Njeri's husband to pick their bodies and plan for their burial following their untimely death.
Sasa sisi tunaomba usaidizi, mtusaidie kubeba hii mzigo, ni juu ni mzigo kubwa kwetu. Watoto tuko nao wandogo, hatujui tutafanya nini.
While confirming the incident, Tharaka Nithi Police Commander Zacchaeus Ngeno said the dead included 10 adults and 2 children. 2 other people in a pickup, including the driver, were injured and rushed to a hospital in Chogoria. According to the National Transport and Safety Authority, 7,198 Kenyans have been involved in road accidents from January 1st to April 1st, marking an increase of 1,908 compared to last year.
Let's come back here to the capital, where traders and residents of Ngara area in Nairobi County are counting losses following an early morning explosion that caused a huge fire along Desai Road. The explosion is said to have emanated from a hotel as a cook was lighting a faulty gas cylinder. The fire, according to eyewitnesses, quickly spread after it caught 2 neighboring shops that stock gas cylinders. No injuries were reported during the incident.
The Sunday morning calm in Ngara, Nairobi County, was disrupted by multiple explosions followed by a huge fire. After efforts by firefighters, the fire was contained, leaving behind a trail of destruction and losses. The fire is said to have started at one of the hotels before spreading to adjacent premises, among them gas cylinder shops.
Mi tunaishi na marafiki wangu watatu. So like kuna mmoja anakula miraa hakuwa amelala. So like hiyo masaa kufika, unajua ikilipuka ilikuwa inalipuka, unasikia nyumba ikitingika. So akatuamsha akatuambia, "Brayo amkeni, nikaa kuna lipuka." Hapa yote ile yenye iko nyuma yako ukiangalia moto ilianzia hapo. Moto kuanzia hapo hapa hii ground yenye tumesimama, hapa kulikuwa kumewekwa stock ya gas.
Sasa huyo mtu kama ameasha gasi hakujua kama pengine inatoa hiyo oxygen ya inaweza leta madhara, kwa sababu yeye kukuja sasa kuasha, hata ni bahati mzuri kuchoma kwa sababu amekimbia after hiyo moto kuwa kwa hewa akakimbia.
The vehicles at this garage have been reduced to shells. A few meters away, several residential houses were not spared. Rendered homeless within minutes, those affected say they were unable to salvage anything.
Hakuna kitu nimeokea, tanda zimechomeka, kila kitu imechomeka. Juu watoto walikuwa ndani na ungeweza kuingia hapa, juu moshi ilikuwa already huko ndani, ungeweza ingia. Watupe ID, wasitulipishe, watupe tu ID kama as original ID. With the other documents, vitu zote za masomo zilikuwa hapa, kila kitu ilikuwa hapa.
Business people watch helplessly as their once stocked up shops continue to smolder.
Nimepigiwa simu nikaambiwa moto imekuwa mingi, nikakuja tu nikakuta vile moto inawaka, lakini isingeweza kukaribia juu kulikuwa na mlipuko wa gasi.
Sema mafriji, maziwa ilikuwa pia hiyo lazima imeisha. Ndani kwa dhamana stock na machine tuseme hapa million.
Sijui chochote cha kufanya, sasa nimekuja hapa nimekaa tu hivi. Moto umechoma kila kitu.
Isheli hapa moto ingeshika hii makontena na maana tungepoteza mali nyingi za Wakenya. Lakini wanakuja kwa kuchelewa. Sasa tungesema hata hapa ni vijijini sawa, lakini hapa ni katikati ya mji. Hapa kila mtu yuko, hapa watu sijui ni kuambeje madamu, lakini tuna hasara pesa mingi sana hapa. Tuangalie tu vile tutasaidiwa.
In February this year, a truck carrying liquefied petroleum gas exploded at Embakasi in Nairobi County, claiming at least 6 lives and destroying property. The level of destruction at this site is a clear indication of the magnitude of the explosion, and hours after the fire was put out, area residents and business people are still counting their losses. Nancy Okware reporting from Ngara, Nairobi County.
And in other news, President William Ruto has reassured the nation of his commitment to unite all Kenyans. Speaking in Bungoma on Sunday, the president maintained that no one will be allowed to plant seeds of discord among the citizenry. The head of state also reflected upon his newly established political partnership with the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga and his warm reception by the people of Nyanza, terming it a miracle.
A day after wrapping up his 4-day tour of the Nyanza region.
And it is amazing what God can do. You know, it is almost a miracle that the people who are on extreme sides a few months ago, today, we are speaking as though we are very long time brothers and sisters and friends.
President William Ruto spent the better part of Sunday morning in Bungoma County, where he attended a service at ACK Bungoma Church. Addressing the congregants, President Ruto promised to do whatever it will take to keep the country united, adding that politicians intending to divide Kenyans along ethnic lines will not succeed.
Those who want to preach to us sectarian, ethnic, parochial, regional politics will not succeed in this country, because this country is a country that trusts in God.
The president, who spoke of his resolve to work with all leaders and people of Kenya without discrimination, also hailed his partnership with ODM leader Raila Odinga, saying it will ensure that the country is united in a common goal.
And I want to promise Kenyans that I will go out of my way. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that this country is united and that no part of Kenya is left behind as we march into the future as a people.
The head of state, who also addressed residents of Bungoma town, vowed to complete ongoing projects in the county, including the construction of the Masindo Muliro Stadium. He was accompanied by several leaders from the county, including Governor Ken Lusaka.
Wakati nilikuja hapa, niliona ya kwamba wananchi walikuwa wanapigwa na jua sana. So nimeinstruct ya kwamba waweke canopy, waweke kiwanja mzuri, na vile vile tuongeze mataa, ndio hata nyinyi mnaweza kucheza mpira, ichezwe hata mpaka usiku. Hebu nione wale anasema tunaunga mkono Kenya iungane iwe moja.
President Rigathi Gachagua has assured residents of Meru and Tharaka Nithi counties that the Nithi Bridge black spot will be redesigned to cover frequent deaths that have been experienced in the area. Following Saturday's tragedy where 12 people were killed in a gruesome accident involving a van and a pickup truck at the infamous black spot on the notorious Nithi Bridge, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua gave the government's firm commitment to address the matter with urgency.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has assured residents of Meru and its environs that the plan to redesign the Nithi Bridge area are almost complete. Speaking at Mikumbine Methodist Church of Kenya in Meru during the centenary celebration services, the DP said plans to review the design of the Killer Bridge, which is marked by sharp curves that have turned into a black spot, are almost complete.
Mambo ya Nithi Bridge, it is true, tuliahidi. I have called the PS, ile mumeona nimetoka nje, Engineer Mbogwa kutaka kujua hiyo ahadi rais wetu alipeana. Nimemwambia kumekuwa na ajali last night, 12 people are dead, others are injured. I'm here in Meru, emotions are very high. People are asking, they want an answer. He has told me that the designs are almost complete.
Really unfortunate. We lost 12 lives yesterday, people from Meru. So ikumbuka najua zile shida zimekuwa, Tharaka Nithi tufanyie nini? Tutengenezewe. Ama namna gani?
On matters security in Meru County, the DP commended the county commissioner for his dedication to ensure that cattle rustlers do not evade residents in the county. The DP also refuted claims that the central region has not shown gratitude for its cabinet slot.
And in the positions that we have been given, we are very appreciative to the president. But the truth of the matter is that we also merit those positions. because we invested heavily in this government.
The Deputy President also said the Mount Kenya region will continue supporting President William Ruto and his administration.
Well, the country's second in command this morning will be at the KICC during the commissioning of the Foreign Travel Management Information System, and we'll duly inform you in our subsequent bulletin in regards to that event. Now, a section of opposition leaders led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka have opposed the directive by the President to have the National Youth Service NYS recruits undergo basic firearms training. Speaking after a church service at the Holy Ghost Cathedral in Mombasa County, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka said the directive announced during the 88th pass-out parade held in Gilgil only intends to counter protests by ordinary citizens. The Wiper leader also opposed the new university funding model, noting under the model most parents in the country will not be able to take their children to universities. His sentiments were echoed by DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa.
Tukisikia ya kwamba NYS vijana ambao wamekuwa huduma ya taifa wanataka kupewa bunduki, hii inatupa wasiwasi kama wananchi.
Unataka kupatia vijana wa National Youth Service bunduki, alafu wapatie risasi. Hiyo hatutakubali. It is clear. Na wametangaza wazi ati wawe, the idea of National Youth Service was not to create another military force.
Now, Moses Omondi, a microbiology student at the University of Nairobi, is seeking financial assistance amounting to 237,000 shillings to continue with his higher education. Omondi secured a place at the university in 2021, but due to financial constraint, he was forced to defer his education for 3 years to allow him to raise funds to cater for his first year. Moses, who hails from Siaya County, has been engaging in menial jobs at Kangemi with the hope of raising money for his education. He is now appealing to well-wishers to come to his aid. Here is his story.
Moses Omondi's fate at the University of Nairobi now hangs in the balance after failing to raise 237,000 shillings required to complete his studies. Omondi received 30,000 shillings from HELP to cover the first academic year, an amount that was not enough as he required 79,000 shillings to cover his tuition fee and upkeep during his first year.
Yes, I did my KCSE in 2021, April. So I was unable to join the university, so I came to Nairobi just to do my deferral.
After deferring his studies in 2021, he kept receiving the HELP money for 3 academic years, an amount he saved up and later used to complete payment for his first year in September 2023. Having exhausted his HELP money, Omondi has run out of options as he is required to join second year by the 10th of September 2024. He's now hoping that Kenyans of goodwill can help sponsor his education, since his parents, who are peasant farmers who live in Siaya, cannot afford to pay for his studies.
I went to Dean of Students to ask for deferral, and I was told that I cannot defer again. So without that money, I will be forced just to drop out of university.
Any financial assistance to help Omondi can be channeled through M-Pesa paybill number 300059, account number SBL 33/5870/2021. You can also reach Moses on mobile number 0700655196.
Anything small will go a long way. You can contribute to that young man's career. Elsewhere, religious leaders have been urged to pray for the country's peace, for collective prosperity and promotion of harmony in the society. Hindu religious leaders who spoke during the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of Bab's Hindu Temple in Nairobi County emphasized the importance of mutual respect and understanding among the country's diverse communities. John Kahiro gives a taste of the memorable celebration for the Hindu community.
BAPS Hindu Temple in Nairobi's Parklands area. Hundreds of worshippers and community members gathered to celebrate the temple's quarter century.
It has been 25 years of instilling values and virtues, impacting the spirit, the service of selfless service, in promoting traditional values and art and culture.
Inaugurated in 1999, the temple has become one of its kind in Africa, ranging from its unique infrastructure to the spiritual contributions to not only the Hindu community but also other religious communities.
The biggest thing it does, it creates hope and faith. When people come here, when they see it, just the beauty of it, just the sheer of it, and just being here, it just gives them calm and peace.
The Silver Jubilee celebrations featured various captivating activities from traditional Hindu dances and their cultural performances. The community, dressed in their religious attires, further colored the festive atmosphere, reflecting the rich cultural heritage of the Hindu community.
We do a lot of charitable activities also for the benefit of local society, be it in humanitarian aids, be it in environmental, be it in education, or be it medical health.
It is here that religious leaders, also known as Swamis, took the opportunity to call for unity in the country.
And we pray to gods that everyone stays calm, everyone stays happy, and everyone work together in order to progress this country.
We should be united, because united we stand and divided we fall.
The congregation, led by youth groups, held the various initiatives the temple has sought to instill values of discipline among the young generation.
The beautiful temple has also taught me and many others as well how to grow professionally, personally, and moreover, and the most important, spiritually in life.
For the past 25 years, BAPS Hindu Temple has been a place of worship, cultural preservation and social service, making significant contribution to the society's well-being. And indeed, happy 25th anniversary to this great temple. John Kahiro, KBC Channel 1 from the BAPS Hindu Temple, Parklands in Nairobi.
Also, the Rendille community in Marsabit County has marked a historic milestone with the first ever food and cultural festival. Held in Logo, the vibrant event aims to preserve the Rendille language and culture, which are at risk of fading away due to assimilation with the neighboring Samburu community.
The festival was a colorful array of Rendille traditions, showcasing their distinctive dances, traditional attire, unique cuisine, and the rich variations of their language. With a population of just over 100,000 according to the 2019 census, the Rendille people took this opportunity to reconnect with their heritage in a vivid display of cultural pride.
Tumekula vyakula vyetu vya kitamaduni, tumecheza densi za kitamaduni, tumeimba, tumekula ngamia.
Ngamia ichinji ile pengine ni mgonjwa ama ile amevunjika, ile iko na kasoro yote, tunatafuta ile ngamia iko na kala mzuri, ndio tunachinja kwa sherehe kama hii.
Na tumeona ni kitu inatufaa kwa kila wakati, kwa kila maka, kwa sababu imetuleta sisi wa Rendille hata tujuane.
Particularly focused on the youth and children who are increasingly influenced by modern lifestyles, the 3-day event organized by the Pastoralist People's Initiative included the establishment of a new learning center.
Tamaduni zetu si ya kuhifadhi tu kwenye museums. Museums tunasema kwamba ni collection ya dead ama tamaduni ambazo zimekufa na watu wanakumbushwa vile zilikuwa zinafanyika. Lakini sisi kama Pastoralist People's Initiative tunataka tamaduni zetu ziendelee kuishi.
Vitu zile tulikuwa tunatumia kitambo za utamaduni wetu. Hatukuwa tunatumia vikombe vya sasa, masahani za sasa. Hatukuwa tunatumia vibuyu kwa kuweka maji za plastiki. Tulikuwa tunajua vile ya kujenga na zile miti za kitambo. Hizo ndo tunakuja kuweka kwa hizo nyumba tuweze kujua kwamba kabla ya hizi plastic zikuje tulikuwa tunatumia nini.
Central to the festivities was the revered camel, a cornerstone of Rendille life.
Ngamia kwa Rendille ni mnyama ambaye Rendille wanasema ngamia ni mungu yao ya pili. Iko na maziwa, iko na mafuta, iko na nyama, iko na kila kitu. ni gari yetu, ni gari ya Rendille.
Sheria, tamaduni na maisha ya Rendille inazunguka mnyama huyu anayeitwa ngamia.
Mtu ya Rendille ngamia yake akikufa, majirani yetu wanapanga, wanaenda kuambia pole, kila mtu analeta mtoto ya mbuzi na kupatia.
The community hopes to make this event an annual celebration.
Tunataka hii kitu kila wakati tufanye, ndio sisi watu wa Marsabit tukue na usalama, kwa sababu kila wakati tunakuanga na rapcha kidogo ya fita ya kabila, na tunataka kusimamisha kitu kama hii inaweza kuleta usalama kwa county ya Marsabit.
This comes at a time when we are small marginalized communities are facing marginalization to an extent that they're not even registered and they're not remembered. They're not acknowledged by the government in terms of legislation or in terms of registration.
The Rendille community's dedication to preserving their traditions while looking forward to the future exemplifies their strength and resilience. Their cultural heritage remains a powerful testament to their enduring spirit and commitment to both tradition and progress.
Now let's directly jump into the world of sports, where Edmund Serem led Kenya to a 1-2 finish in the 3,000-meter steeplechase finals as curtains came down on the 20th World Athletics Under-20 Championship yesterday in Lima, Peru. Kenya finished 6th overall with 7 medals, 3 gold, 3 silver and a bronze medal behind champions United States of America, who had 16 medals, 8 gold, 4 silver and 4 bronze medals.
And Serem now going away, one barrier, not the most...
Africa silver medalist Edmund Serem bagged gold in style with a world-leading time of 8 minutes 15 seconds in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, while his compatriot Matthew Kosgei took silver in a personal best time of 8 minutes 17.46 seconds.
Of Ethiopia now fancies his chance. Pintado coming round the outside.
Josephat Kipkirui finished 4th in the men's 1,500 meters final, won by Ethiopian Abdiya Faisa, while Cameron Myers of Australia and Spanish Alex Pintado won silver and bronze respectively. Kenya finished 6th overall with 7 medals, 3 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze medal.
Paralympics 1,500 meters bronze medalist Nancy Cheplagat and 2013 World 1,500 meters bronze medalist Mary Waithera are through to the final of the 1,500 meters final at the ongoing Paris Paralympic Games in France. Elsewhere, Olympic 800 meters bronze medalist Mary Moraa yesterday produced her world best performance on her way to the 600 meters victory at the ISTAF meeting in Berlin in Germany. Moraa clocked 1 minute 21.63 seconds to win the 1.5 lap race ahead of the Shefoka Maloney and the Alika Schmitz, who were second and third respectively. And of course, that brings us to the end of our stories this morning. We'll duly inform you in our subsequent bulletins. But don't go too far. My colleague Victor Olo is ready to tackle the stories making headlines on your front pages this morning. And the guests are already seated to make, of course, a thought-provoking discussions on what the state of the nation is looking like this morning. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. We're taking a short commercial break. Don't go too far.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday. With me, DJ_Liza Diva.
DJ Colda.
And me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversation.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed. We are such a vibe. Y254. Imagine.
In the leafy suburbs of Kitsuru in Nairobi County, the melodies of the singing bowls and the vibrations of the gong echo through the Enso Sound Immersion Studio as my colleagues and I try sound therapy. During the sound therapy, Alia Datu, a doctor of metaphysics, played instruments.
So whenever somebody comes here, the first thing I tell them is be open to the experience, and secondly, surrender and let go to the sound.
But what is sound therapy?
So I'll tell you what, Marie, we are made, I think 75% to 80% of our bodies is made up of water, right? And sound basically creates ripples. It's like you take a pebble and throw a pebble in a still lake, and you see the ripples going all across the lake. That's what sound does. And it creates vibrations in your body, so your body feels those reverberations of different instruments and sounds.
Upon entry into the studio, Alia handed us eye masks and encouraged us to let go of the worries of the day.
And with each breath that you take, I want you to start to relax.
Then she began playing the instruments, creating a symphony of sounds.
As you pass through this iridescent light,
each instrument bringing us closer and closer to the sounds of nature. And who does not like the sound of rain? During the half-hour group session, Alia told us to move as little as possible. She then placed the balls on our bellies for us to feel the vibrations as she played. What has been the impact on the people she helps, I ask?
so many people who've walked out of here, if I can use their words to describe what goes through here, they get into, they experience a great sense of place, lots of peace, lots of calm, lots of clarity. We've had people who've come in here with insomnia, for example, and having had a sound healing session, they've managed to, get back to healthy sleeping patterns. We've had people who've come with depression and other emotional issues who've managed to find great sense of release once they're here. We also cater to, we've done sessions, for example, for people who are audibly impaired or the deaf as well, and they've experienced vibrations through the instruments, and that's left them feeling much more calm and at ease. So it's a great way to treat ailments like anxiety, depression. It's a great way to gain better clarity. If you've got, migraines and stuff, sound healing also helps you with that as well.
How often should someone do sound therapy, and what are the benefits?
Daily, so for different reasons and different things. We cater to groups, so we have people coming in for their bridal showers, we have people coming in for their birthdays, girlfriends gifting each other a nice session for their birthday. It's a beautiful way to start your solar year or solar return. We also do sound healing sessions for corporates. This is becoming a very interesting addition to corporate team building sessions as well, because this brings a lot of peace and calm to corporates. You can slowly roll over onto the right side.
At the end of the therapy, we all felt a sense of calm reverberating through us.
This experience for me has been the best in terms of the sound, because you can walk in nature, but I don't think it can come to anything close to the vibrations that, the instruments are giving.
What I took away was weightlessness. That's what I felt. And I saw streaks of purple whirling around.
It was amazing. I feel my body relaxed. I wish I could do this for a couple of days.
So it's not uncommon. Even the body temperature changes. Somebody felt their feet and their hands going cold. Someone felt tingles. So all these are actually positive signs that energy is actually flowing in your body.
Maria Ambo reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Great. Welcome back to the program. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. This is Eye on Politics today, being the second day of September 2024. The year is slowly coming to a close. I hope so far you've achieved something. But if you've not, worry not, because there's still some time for you to make a change in your life. All right, so I'll be taking you through the front page of our local dailies just to get you briefed on what is here making the front line, or the front pages rather, and then we'll continue with our discussion. I'm glad that my guests are already in studio. I have got Deputy Governor of Machakos, Francis Mwangangi, Karoli Mondi, who is also representing the great people of Suba South. He was a host to the head of state. He'll tell us what goodies he was given so that he can share with us on set here, as well as Senator Mugatana joining us here on set. Gentlemen, good morning. Karibu sana. Asante sana. I'm also waiting for Catherine Omanyo, who is the woman representative of Busia County, to join us shortly. All right, so let me start with you. First of all, who is a Manchester fan? Supporter amongst you. I just want to make it clear. Because I know tension is high across the country, because they were beaten 3-0 yesterday by Liverpool. I watched it. Are you a supporter? I supported Liverpool, though I'm Arsenal. Ah, good. Yeah. So we can sing the same tune. Yes. DG has got no team.
No, Chelsea.
Do you have a Chelsea fan in Kenya?
There are many. You are the only one.
How many are you?
We are many. In fact, you can sample here. They are the majority.
I highly doubt that. But anyway, what about Senator?
I play basketball. I enjoy basketball. Football has never been my thing.
They call it the cool kid.
Not cool kid. It's just
Manchester United fans are not happy people this week. On the first game, they were beaten 1. I think they only scored 1 goal. Second game, they were beaten 2-0. Third game, they were beaten 3-0. So I think it continues. By the time we'll be ending the league, they shall be given so many goals. But hey, that's the state of politics and football. So we can relate these two. Football and politics. Today you lose, tomorrow you win. Or at some point you go at par. I want to take a look at that, what is happening in the state of affairs, the state of the nation as we speak, matters, a myriad of issues affecting our nation as we speak currently. All right, let me start with the front page of the Star newspaper. New audit uncovers financial rot in schools. New audit uncovers financial rot in schools. Concerns include illegal fees, irregular withdrawals, use of public fund to bankroll Kesha. This is also on the front page of the Star newspaper. There you have it. There is a new audit which is actually uncovering financial rot in schools. This includes illegal withdrawals, irregular withdrawals, use of public fund to bankroll Kesha. And now, head teachers are now summoned by MPs over funds issued to institutions. Remember, the students are not yet in school as we speak. The second week, Coopet says they are going to continue the strike even to infinite. We don't know yet when they're going to go back to school. But here, the front page of the Star newspaper gives a different opinion. Again, Mombasa tycoon remembered as true face of humanity. He was cremated yesterday. Philanthropist Hasmush Patel passed on last week, I think it was Saturday or Friday, and he was cremated yesterday in Mombasa. And his body was taken around different streets of Mombasa and different temples just to give him the final rites. He was a philanthropist, and many people have actually lauded him for being a good person. Let me start with you, Senator Mungatana, now that this one is almost closer home, at least to start with the front page of the Star newspaper, and of course, the gentleman has been lauded, and even Kalonzo Musyoka and other luminaries were there for the final send-off. That shows that he was not just a normal person in Kenya generally. Senator.
Yes. Mr. Patel was, he was one man that we will remember for many years to come because of the things that he did. A lot of people who went to him would get assistance. Yes. If it's school fees, if it is hospital, even food. There was even a place that he had set up where people would go to get food. And aside from that, his companies employed many people. Let me just say he had a very big heart. Yeah. And, you know, these are the kind of people we say we thank God for their lives because they added something to the people where they lived. Two interesting things, though. He had an issue with the county government of Mombasa. Apparently, the county government of Mombasa, I think they felt a bit, you know, insecure. That's the best I can say, with the generosity. And sort of started interfering with his social work, you know, the way he is doing his thing. Because there was no foundation or anything. He just used to do his thing himself when you reach him. And things like beautification of the town and whatever, he used to do it. So I think the town started feeling a bit... so there was a tiff at some point, and he stopped that beautification. He removed some of his companies, took them to the neighboring Kilifi County. So that's one thing that was there that I'm not sure was resolved. The other thing that I mean, many of us, even from the coast, found a bit difficult was their culture, the culture when it comes to funerals. I remember the last time we had a very big funeral was when Karesa Maitha passed on, the former MP for Kisauni, and also minister that we really worked with together nicely. But the coffin was covered. You know, people, it was moved around, it was covered. And as usual, at the last point is when it's opened, you know, the screen is open for you to pay your respects. But in this case, for Mr. Patel, there was a display of the body. He entered from temple to temple. And I think people are a bit, because you're seeing he's there, but he's not there. But his body was there, and he was dressed nicely, seated, and was taken around these temples where he had made great contribution. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's an interesting, how can you say, introduction to other cultures that we are not used to. Although we are used to the fact that there's cremation, not Barrio, but this other one, I don't think, personally I'd not seen it before. I've just heard of it in other countries. But on the whole, this is a man that, you know, personally, I feel that we have been taught as Christians and we believe in our faith, but there are some people, if it was up to us as humans to pass them to heaven, this is one of them. This is one of them.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Okay. On the front page of the Star newspaper, new audit uncovers financial rot in schools. In under 1 minute, if you can. And yet, schools are still closed as we speak. Secondary schools.
Oh, this secondary schools thing. I think there's always been some issue around management of school money. And it's a very big issue, and it's not only for secondary school. It's also for primary school. It's an issue, and as usual, the Auditor General will reveal things, and as usual, nobody will be arrested. As usual, we'll wait for another financial year, and things go like that. This is part of the example of bad management. But for me, I don't think it is just the schools that we should be worried about. I think government, there's a problem in government. There's a big problem. The Auditor General is never given, the reports are never given the weight they are supposed to be given. The agencies that are supposed to execute the discoveries that are made, there's never really action. And for me, I think political will is really required for us to actually do something about these Auditor General reports. Very strong political will is required, because it means touching important people who are in charge of our finances. So it's good, and I always like whatever the media does, because they say things that people don't want to say. So this is good, but at the end, the guys who must do something, it's at the very top. I think we must, at some point, focus on the war against mismanagement of public funds. For now, I can forgive the president because maybe he's still building up his political capital. But when he has it properly in his hands, he needs to face the big elephant in the room. Because it's not just teachers. I tell you, so many places in government have not lived up to expectation from the Auditor General's report.
Let me get it from Karoli Mone. Karoli Mone, Member of Parliament, Suba South, joining us as well for the first time today. Mheshimiwa, what's on the table? You had all power in your constituency, right in your compound. What do you have to share with us?
Let me begin by encouraging the Manchester United fans.
Go ahead and encourage them.
Where you start is not important, but where you finish. So I think they still have a long time, and they could improve their fortunes.
Yes.
That said, before we go to the presidential visit, let me also talk briefly about the headline of the Star. There are three areas that I believe require proper rationalization of expenditure for the government to try and balance its books. One of them is the roads sector, where there's a lot of money and there's a lot of pilferage. There's a lot of theft in road construction. The second one is the health sector, the procurement and distribution of medicine. There's a lot of wastage. And the third one is exactly what the Star is talking about.
Education.
Education sector. I did say this in another forum, if you look at the amount of monies dedicated to education, even if we just take the bursary component alone, which includes even capitation, and the bursaries by CDF, the bursaries by health, the bursaries, it's a lot. There are many from the county governments to the county women reps. It is a lot of money. And there's a lot of double dipping and also a lot of wastage and lack of accountability in that space. And I believe that should be looked into to rationalize those expenditures in those three sectors. It will help a lot with the budget deficit. And somebody may be a little suspicious at the headline now because it is coming at a time the teachers are on strike.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, I think it is time we looked at how school monies are spent because there's a problem. There's a problem. If you go to the rural areas, you'll see what is happening, where a lot of money is brought in, but not much is happening. And tied to that, I would also like to speak to the issue of university funding model. I think it is important we bring some clarity to it. In my view, I think there's a big problem with that model in terms of the information that is being captured and used to determine a student's need for funding. When you look at the bandings, the 5 bandings, the information needed are called sociocultural information. They ask about status of your parents, are they single, are they married? They ask about your family, is it polygamous? They ask about a lot of questions that are sociocultural. They are not using financial related information to determine somebody's need. So I've been suggesting that, number one, I think the application for university bursary should be done while students are still in school, not after they've done exams and exited.
Yeah.
The reason why it should be done while they're still in school is because that is where all the information about their family's income and ability to pay fees is housed. There are students who pay fees by parents delivering firewood, delivering beans, maize. Others bring cash, others are on bursary. All that information for the 4 years they're in school is with the teachers. So that is where it should be captured.
I remember there was even some proposal at some point that paying of school fees should go digital.
Yeah.
Through e-system. But that was vehemently opposed.
Yes, and if you look at it, the analysis should have elements of digital issues. For example, every student from Form 1 to Form 4, there's a parent. There are people who are responsible for that student. If you do an analysis of their M-Pesa transactions, you'll know their income.
Yeah.
That information is there. Yeah. And then you'll band them correctly. If you do an analysis of how much they've received by way of bursary, or by way of donations or harambes, you will clearly know, not asking about polygamous nature of their parents or those kind of things. So I think the problem with that university funding model is the information that is being fed into the system. It must be tilted towards financial information, not socio-cultural information.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, on the president's visit to Suba, we were very happy.
Can I come back to that one later on?
Okay.
Kindly. DG, I'm also told that there are certain schools in your county you're supposed to go home to be closed today. One of them is Machako's boys. A couple of them who had reported, and because of the unrest and all that, they are being sent home today. But that is beside the point. The point is the money is being mismanaged in different schools. I mean, parents might not be so happy looking at this headline at this particular point.
Thank you. First and foremost, allow me to start where Senator Mungatana stopped, the issue of the late Patel. The company has a plant in Machakos County, specifically within Mavoko area. And I can tell you, I've seen so many schools that have been rehabilitated, reconstructed, using products from the Mombasa cement. And I want to confirm truly this was a pro-economic transformation, and in state building, part of it is to encourage business community to do what they do, and they do it in a more better professional way. And in that, there is creation of wealth, putting money into the pockets of people. The late Patel did that. So I think it was not only for Mombasa, but also in other areas like Machakos, where he operated his company. Now, I think there are lessons to be drawn from there. If you are blessed and you are within a certain community, how do you relate with that community?
How do you make an impact?
and how do you aid in transformation of the same? So I think there is a lesson to be drawn from there in a very simple, non-political way, because you have heard from Senator how the county government of Mombasa was so suspicious of his charitable activities. I think you don't have to do some of these things for you to be seen or for you to be elected. There's a lesson to be drawn from there. Secondly is about the audit. I think it is high time we also insist on at least educating the school managers on financial management skills. We need also general management because they are MDs, they are chief executive officers at that very local level, at a school level. So I think we are likely to see this kind of audits going forward, because I'm not sure these principals, these head teachers are well acquainted with bookkeeping, with accounts, knowledge and skills. So it is an area we need to look at. I'm trying to avoid what has been spoken before, to avoid repetition. So I think as a country it is an area we need to look at and maybe draw a line. So for one to be a deputy head teacher or an head teacher, you need to go through these particular courses as additionals, so that once you are there, you have those management skills, you have those basic financial skills, you are not going to be involved in those kind of things, because majority of them could be doing that without maybe knowing. I cannot rule out maybe inappropriate in the process of doing that, but by and large we need we accuse them when we know they are well versed with what they are supposed to do.
All right. Very well. That's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. It's always good to get your opinion on that. On the front page of the Standard newspaper, misplaced priorities, that's what you have here. The country faces a myriad of problems, from the teacher strike that is threatening to derail secondary school national examination, to jittery Gen Z youth who are calling for good governance, to the imminent threat from the Mpox disease. However, the president and his executive are busy politicking. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Again, opinion split on Kalonzo's role as opposition head. Africa heads eye loans in China. The president, remember, also left the country last night for a forum in China, together with the Prime Cabinet Secretary who left a day before, and ODM leader Raila Odinga, who is a candidate for AUC. Contenders drop points on Super Sunday. That is as far as sports is concerned. There is a question here, again related to the schools, that hiring school buses will be at your own risk, probably in future. And now, again, another story about Mudavadi is that Mudavadi's star shines brightest. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. DG, now that your mic is still a bit warm, you've spoken last, again, split, misplaced priorities, under 1 minute before we take a break. The country is facing a myriad of issues, but here we are. The Standard says that the president and the executive are busy politicking. Yeah?
Well, he's a politician, he's a political leader. There is no way you will separate the two, his political activities and the development. However, for the period, and this I objectively, I hope Senator Mungatana will agree with me. For the period the country elected the third president of the Republic of Kenya, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, late. Most of the time he was in State House planning and executing. I can tell you for sure, today, even in the counties, when you see these people who are all over, don't expect much as far as development is concerned. I will tell you for free. I can repeat. When you see some of us, we are all over, moving up and down. Today I'm attending a funeral in Siaya. I'm in Coast tomorrow. I'm where? Don't expect any development. Forget about it. and concentrate on other issues.
That is a serious statement.
It is. Look, what this country is enjoying today is as a result of what was done during President Mwai Kibaki's time and tenure. Those are and some of the programs we have run down as a country. Where is Vision 2030? What is the level of implementation of that document, which was meant to transform this country? But are we there? Look at even all the socio-economic programs. You could change them and call them another name, but they originate from that very time. Why? We had somebody who was focused on developing and transforming this country in all ways. Since then, we have more of politicians than leaders who are focused on transforming the country. That is my take. I'm sorry.
Where's your camera? This one. I want you to say this. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on your camera. Straight. I'm giving you my job officially. Let's take a break. Say that.
I say what?
Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Oh, let's take a break. We will be right back. It's this one.
That was very well.
Yeah?
Very well.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Things make me not just them girl, but all I can't stop, no, I just can't stop. I can't stop the race. Tell you why. Chop, shabba, dabba, shabba, dabba, chop, chop, shabba, dabba. Just like I dreamed it would be. Oh my commanding wife, she wants to destroy my life. Commanding wife, she wants to destroy my life.
A stage play of Sarafina musical went down.
Mr. and Miss Soweto went down at Kahawa Primary School.
Outside of this music, outside of this thing that I've loved all my life, I realized that it was taking me to where I need to be.
The name is Degs. Basically, you know, I've been a music producer and artist in the game. Started off with Scamares, you know, which was my first track with Mad Tracks.
Bensol got to perform with the orchestra.
Extra pressure, baby, when you whine and fall. You're killing the boy of God. You're killing the boy of God.
right. All right, welcome back. So let's get into our discussion today. Before we took a break, I think, Senator Mukatana, there's something you were saying. You wanted to rebut on what DG said?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What Mheshimiwa Deputy Governor has said, to a large extent, is true.
Yes.
But you see, the presidency in Kenya, and I've studied a lot about the presidency, like in the US, the various presidents who have come, there are very many books that have been written about what type of presidency this kind of office holder did. Now, some people come in and they are very quiet people, and they do their things from their office.
Yeah.
Some people are very outgoing, and they do their things from out there. This is the kind of thing that Kenyans must start accepting, that the character you are voting into office could be very assertive, and there are characters.
It's about the personality.
The personality thing. So I needed to say this, that, and it seems to follow a certain pattern, that when you have a very assertive person, the next person seems to be, of course it's not perfect, but the next person seems to be less assertive. And then you'll have a very assertive person and then less assertive. But I think, personally, it's not a bad thing that somebody is out there. The only thing that needs to be there, according to me, is a balancing. If you have a president who is very outgoing, we should have a deputy president who is very office-oriented so that he can get hold of things. If you have a governor who is always out there pushing things, you should have a deputy governor who is also in the office getting hold of the staff and making sure paper is moving. So either way, you can have a successful presidency or a governorship if you're working closely with your partner. So there's a point the deputy governor here is making. But from my side, it is how you execute your work. If you know yourself that you are a person who is always out there, then you need another strong person to be in the office so that your things don't get stuck.
Yeah.
But I think from where I sit, I have watched the president, even when he's out there, making those calls that are for office. For example, you meet, there's a problem with the roads, there's a problem with the power or whatever, the agriculture issues, and members, we have gone to see him as members of that area, and we tell him, you know, we need this and that, and he is a person who is hands-on. He will call the minister, he will call the PS, so it's like the office moves with him. So I don't think really there's a very big disadvantage, but in general, from me, from my perspective, if I know myself to be outgoing, I would have a quiet person.
Okay.
Or if I know myself to be quiet, I would have a person who is very outgoing to push.
Based on that, Senator, somebody will say that there will be no difference between politicking and going out and launching development projects, for example. In one of the stories, somebody will say that 2.5 years later, we are still seeing the same trend that was there, even before elections. The campaign mood. So somebody will say, that's a normal thing. Instead of somebody would argue and wait for the deputy president or for the president to appear in certain exclusive events to give a national kind of a direction, rather than traversing the country a week on end, you know. That would, somebody would argue that that's a campaign mood. You're putting the country in a campaign mode all year through.
Correct. And maybe, Victor, you're right. But let me tell you now, as a person from Tana River.
Go ahead.
The president came there and made 4 stopovers. In one of the stopovers, the last president who was there was 44 years before this new president, this Ruto came. The other 3 places, there has never been a president who has visited those areas. So let me tell you what the president was doing when he goes there. William Ruto will start by saying, I want to apologize for the first president, for the second president, for the third president, for the fourth president. On behalf of all of them, I say sorry because we never visited this place before. And people would cheer him. Let me tell you, we really appreciated to see His Excellency the President there. So that issue of limited appearance notwithstanding, this person, when he is there in person, the people are happy. The people are, joyous because they can identify with what he's doing, and he's able to explain. You see, I have come here because I'm launching this water project. Tana River, we are planning to make it a breadbasket of this country. We have allocated 400 million for this irrigation project. We are launching this and that and that. And the people appreciate that for the first time, there is a guy who came after the election, who came after he asked our votes, who came to ask us how we are doing, who came to say thank you. And for us, that is very important. Even just to come and say thank you. In Tana River County, a lot of politicians I know have been punished because after elections, they never went back to say thank you. And they are also not seen. It is a fact that if you don't keep visiting, the members will punish you. So there's a delicate balance between what you're saying. I see what you're saying, that, okay, let's have limited appearances so that when he comes, he makes a big announcement. Or should we have all this? It becomes too normalized. That's why I'm saying it's the style of the guy in the office. For us, I'll tell you, for us, it's going to work for his advantage. The people in Tana River, many of them are going to vote for him because they feel they can touch him, they can identify. So if somebody else says it's better to operate from Nairobi and he can still win, that's his politics.
That's again. Mheshimiwa Karoli, this actually comes back to your doorstep because it happened not a few days, actually 2-3 days ago in your home time. What really happened there? Because now we really want to get, if the president goes out there, makes some of these pronouncements, what is maybe one or two things that you can easily put your finger on and say, this one never kicked off, but now that the president made such kind of pronouncement, you're so sure they're going to kick off, and probably during a particular period of time directed by the president, you're going to see some change.
Thank you. Let me begin by saying this. This was the second time the president was visiting Suba in less than a year.
Yes.
We actually had him visit us for the first time on October 6th last year. And during that visit, we were able to get the first ring road, though Maram, in Mfangano Island. And it was the first time a president of Kenya had set foot in Mfangano Island.
Same as Tana River?
The last time a senior person was in Mfangano Island was Thomas Joseph Mboya, when he went there in 1968 to try and do a ring road on the island of Mfangano. And it never happened. So on that visit last year, the president was able to launch the first ring road, Maram Road, around Mfangano Island. And then we came to the mainland, and for the first time, the Karungu, Magunga, Sindo, Mbita Road, the tamaking was launched, the first tarmac road in Suba South constituency ever. And also, importantly, it was the second time we were having a president in Suba. The last one was President Moi in 1996. Now, this time round, we did stop over in Rusinga Island. Actually, we were supposed to do it last year, but we couldn't do it because the project, the Rusinga Ring Road, the contracting process was not complete. This time, a few days ago, it was the first time a president had set foot on Rusinga Island. And it is the first time a tarmac road is being done as a ring road around Rusinga Island. Now, what had happened, if you want to know the significance of this visit, the tarmacking of Sori, Magunga, Sindo, Mbita Road is something we started with the former Prime Minister under Grand Coalition.
Yes.
The designs were done, the processes were started. It had not happened until last October when we went with the president. It had not happened. The ring road around Rusinga started over 4 years ago. And the contracting was slow. Eventually, contract was awarded, but never signed. So on this visit, at least that has been cleared up. Now, the next big thing we agreed with the president is the Lake Victoria Ring Road, which will start from Bumula all the way to the border with Tanzania. Some sections have been done, But there are many sections in Western, in Bondo, in Seme, parts of Kisumu, that have not been done. But the major parts that have not been done are actually in Suba South and Suba North, especially between Homa Bay and Mihuru Bay. So again, we've agreed with the President that because the designs are ready, the environmental impact assessments are complete, everything is done. We've been championing and asking that it be forwarded as a regional project around Lake Victoria to either the World Bank or the African Development Bank, who are very ready to finance it.
Yes.
And hopefully that will be done very soon, because it is a project that is ready. And those things can only happen on some of these visits, because he's able to see.
When an environmental assessment has been done,
social impact,
all those, and the contract been awarded. Now, what stalls the project from kicking off? I was in, so to speak, I drove on that road from Mbita, heading towards, just right after Mbita High School, towards Sindo, on 2nd of August last month.
Was there a road, really?
It's horrible.
There was no road.
It's horrible. And I don't know, but when you go, on paper, perhaps it has been tarmacked.
No. It has not been tarmacked. That is the one that is being done now. Actually, from October last year, when we went with the President, the contractor came and did the first 7.2 kilometers, because it's designed in milestones. It is 74 kilometers. It's supposed to be done in 10 milestones. The contractor does 7.4, raises bill of quantities, he's paid, then he goes on again.
Yes.
So the first, after that visit, the first 7.2 have been completed. But the contractor had not been paid. And the contractor had raised an invoice of about 510 million.
Okay.
So right now, with the President's visit, money has been allocated to pay the contractor. And I spoke with the contractor about 4 or 5 days ago. He's already back. He's going to, again, rework on his machines the next few days. And hopefully, in a month's time, he'll be back to do the second milestone.
Okay. I believe it doesn't take the President to come back to your regions to inspect whether some of these projects are going on or not. It's now your responsibility as leaders down at the ground to make sure that these projects are going on. Allow me to ask this question, for example. Let me direct it to DG. If you start a project in Machakos County, whose responsibility is it to ensure that this project's going on? Because we've seen, a couple of people on social media are going around, an advocate, going around and actually giving an account of what the President and even the former presidents launched, but have not been done. Now, this one paints a very bad picture on the current administration and perhaps the previous administrations. But now, whose responsibility is it? The President was there in Suba. He's been there in Tana River. Perhaps he'll be there in Machakos tomorrow. So whose responsibility is that? I love that.
This is the saddest moment, because we need somebody to sit and plan for Kenya. And when you plan, you ensure there is something for each part of the country, because we have a constitution that demands so. If we will have to wait until the President visits for projects to happen, then I don't know what kind of country we are in. We are moving backwards, because we are going back to the very old, the founding fathers' era of going to kneel down so that something can happen as a result of your own tax. So I think we need maybe a leader, and I agree totally with the sentiment expressed by Tana River Senator, that as a political leader, you need not only to sit somewhere and plan, you need to pay a visit and see what is happening, because it is your responsibility. But overdoing it, I can tell you, it is a disaster. You need, again, to respect separation of powers. these agencies that are supposed to carry out these projects, and this I'm answering your question on whose responsibility, they need to be given space and time to do what they are supposed to do. It is the responsibility of our policymakers to ensure whatever they apportioned, they allocated in Parliament. If it is that irrigation, the hundreds of millions that are going to that project, they need to ensure the agency that is implementing that project does its work.
Yes.
It is not upon the president to ensure something is done. In any case, why do we have DCI and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission? They need, if like what we are seeing, these audits, I'm sure eventually they will head to Parliament. And from Parliament they will head to some of these investigative agencies. It will be sorted out. We need somebody to sit somewhere and ensure these agencies do their work. So I think we are going backwards. And finally, I gave an example of the third president of the Republic of Kenya. Actually, he almost lost the election because of that sitting at the State House and planning and implementing projects for the country without him getting out. If you remember so well, he even lost a referendum because he was not maybe balancing, but where he placed the country. Look at the programs that he started then. None has ever matched. Okay? And the real programs, other than having projects that were launched 10 years ago, and up to date, it is only the emblem. That thing, this was launched, you know. So I think leaders, we need to have a change of tack. How we plan for our counties, constituencies, and even for a country. We choose either politicking or going to these people, you get their needs, you sit down, plan for it, and ensure every part of country has something before you wake up and start going everywhere.
Senator said there's a very thin line, DG. There's a very thin line.
Yes, but there is time for everything. It means you are a poor planner. If you are running everywhere, when nobody is running after you.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So let me ask you. We know there is time and a period for campaigns. We know people are planning. Those who are planning to oppose us in Machakos, we know they are planning and they are doing what they are doing.
Yeah.
But again, we have a duty. We have a duty to carry out development projects in Machakos County. We have a duty to over political leadership. We have a duty to bring everybody together. That cannot be done when you are moving out and you tend to think somebody else is coming after your seat and you are running all over in the name of launching projects. No. We need to change some of these things.
Look at it this way again, Mheshimiwa Karoli, because there is some sense of accountability. And one thing that Gen Z gave out clearly during the protest in June was accountability. And this one, most of the honorable members I've hosted on this show have talked about accountability. At some point, perhaps many of them took steps back and said, you know what, there is some sense here, accountability. Because many people, as he said, Senator said, that many people almost get punished because of unfinished promises or even projects in their areas of jurisdiction. And now the accountability now kicks in. As an honorable member of Suba South, generally as a nation, do you think Wanjiku is getting value for his money or her money?
Thank you. You know, a member of parliament has three roles. Legislation, which you do in parliament. Oversight, which we do in parliament. But there's one called representation. Representation is where you go and interface with various government agencies to get things done for your people. So, especially those of us who are in opposition areas, and where you see projects you started dealing with over 10, 15 years ago stalled, it is incumbent upon you to go and engage with those who make the decisions on these projects. And we are all aware that Kenya is in very difficult financial position now. That is a fact. We all know there's not much headroom in the treasury for development activities. So if, in my view, if you want to get some of these stalled things done, like what we are doing with the president in much of Suba South, even in this tour in Nyanza, were projects that were conceptualized, were ready for implementation, but were not being implemented. We are not looking for new things. Yes. So the dilemma you face as a leader is where you can go to a PS, you can go to a minister, but the decision and the buck stops somewhere else. So it is, and some, you know how our political system has been tuned. You have a right to go and seek out the president and talk to the president and say, this and this is not being rolled out in my constituency. I need your help. Could you ask your people to work with me? When we first did that, we were almost killed. Yeah? You remember? We were so-called rebels.
Okay.
Yes. But that is the work of an MP. That is what his representation is all about. The problem is when accountability is missing, when things are started and not completed, if you do an analysis, the country loses more. Because you have money stranded there, and then you have contracts that are still alive, that keep generating more expenses. You know, even if a contractor does not work but has equipment on site, he gets paid a certain amount of money. Yeah. So you have a situation like what most people don't understand with electricity. There's something called capacity charge. So whenever, if you have a contract to supply power to government, and I make my power available, if it is not consumed, I still get paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, even MPs, I see struggling with it. It is the same concept with a lot of these projects. So it is better to go and engage and try and push. Now, I personally, I like what the Gen Zs did and what the Gen Zs are doing. I like a system where young people are involved and engaged in the activities of their countries and call out leaders and speak truth to power. And instead of seeking handouts, they seek a hand up. You know, this is what the Gen Zs are trying to do in this country. And any leader should really sit and understand what is it that these guys want. Even the young man, Morara, the lawyer, by going to take pictures and say this is stalled, what he may not understand is what is happening in the background. Like, I'll give you an example. Kabonyo Kanyagwal fish, that project that the president launched last year in October. The money is coming from Hungary. And the problem is the Hungarian government and the way the loan documentations were done have not been completed. But the project will be on. Yes, so the contractor could not be on site as earlier planned because of the contracting arrangements. There were some loose ends that had not been properly tied. Yeah.
All right, Senator, because at the end of the day, there is also that sense of Senate doing an oversight to the counties. I believe as senators, you will not go directly to the president to ask the president, you know what, you launched project X and Y in county X and Y or in region X and Y. But you'll also ask members of parliament, you'll summon them, you'll summon county governors to come and appear before the Senate to answer some of these audit queries, some of these projects that have stalled. What do you really think is the missing gap here? You start a project, you do a feasibility study, then you get a contractor on site. 10, 15 years down the line, nothing happens. So why would someone give you a contract, gives you a project, gives you money, and that you don't do it? Why do I go back to the president and say, you know what, this project was started 10, 15 years ago, but it's not going on? It begins with the planning stage.
Okay, maybe before I answer that, let me just say quickly that when we had the first constitutional moment and we got a new constitution at independence, the fight was for independence, but not about accountability. Nobody talked about money. Then we had the second fight for the second I don't want to call it a revolution, but the second constitutional moment, when we got now a new constitution, the fight was about expanding the rights Why should the president be the one who appoints the judges, appoints the ministers? Why should my rights be limited? Why should we have only one political party? So we got a new constitution, the current constitution. But again, like the first time, there were no questions on the question of accountability, the question of how money is used. The questions were not put on the treasury. So for me, I think this push by the young people is focused on accountability. The questions that we never asked when we were looking for the two constitutional moments. So I fully support that we need to really focus on how our money is being used. How is it being collected, and how is it being used? What is the percentage collection? What is the percentage that is being used? And the young people have come up with very good, systems using the digital, the tracking system, and people are able to tell you this county isn't doing this, not just depending on what the Auditor General is saying. Some are even saying these Auditor General officers who go down to the county, some of them are giving good reports because they are compromised, So the truth is slowly coming to the light.
Yes.
And I think this is a beautiful development. It's good for our country. And if we keep it like this, Kenya now it's at 50-something, we are going to have a better country when we are about 100.
Okay.
So in terms of our oversight role as Senate, many times we have had difficulties with governors, because some governors have failed the people. And sometimes when you look at the problem, it is that the tools for enforcing good manners in financial management are not there.
Okay.
You find that the Senate will look at the reports from the Auditor General. They will ask the questions. The governor sometimes has answers for those questions and clarification, because sometimes they cannot account for this, but they say we need time to go and explain what questions you've given us.
Let's take a break.
But the problem is Senate cannot arrest a governor. We can only recommend. So if EACC or DCI doesn't arrest, then,
you shall have done your part.
We have done our part, but the people have not gotten what they wanted.
Let's take a break.
Just a minute.
Can I come back?
Just one sentence on the last comment.
Okay.
These are senior lawyers in this country, other than being political leaders. And they know if I was to appear in a Senate or any parliamentary committee and I don't make it, they will give Inspector General of Police hours to produce me in front of that committee. And it is legal. It will be adhered to. So the issue of someone not acting, I tend to have a different opinion with that of the senator.
Do you think Senator Mukatana can give IG that power to...
Yeah, the IG is independent. Yes. The current IG is independent. The Constitution is very clear. So even when you give them direction, they have to weigh it and see if it is something they can do.
Let's take a break. And we come back. He's in a pole position to be the next opposition leader. He's declared himself that he's the next opposition after Raila Odinga started to eye the AUC position. I'm talking about Kalonzo Musyoka, who is now saying that 23 members of Azimio have backed him to be the opposition leader. DJ, I hope you're happy with that.
I don't need to be happy. That is how it should be.
Let's take a break. You'll tell us more when you come back.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
What was ordered is different from what was delivered. Unajua ng'ombe anatoka anakaa kama farasi. What are you doing? Angalia. Pole. Unaona kitu yoyote? Mimi niko na shida kiriri. Mimi si chailoko ya kukukopechanga na ulipi. Wamepatia mimi all sorts of medication. P3, P2, OB, yote mimi iko naye. Mchomanaji wa chai moto kwa customer ni nani? Ni wewe. Anta fungwa peke yako.
Ni kuviga unaviga?
Ni kukamua na kamua.
Nilisema ngwe.
Bogaka! Ala! Bogaka!
All right, welcome back. So let's get into it. We've talked about the issue of accountability, the project the president have been launching across the country. Now let's get into the political bit of it. Now, there's a very thin line. So Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has declared himself as the de facto leader of opposition, and over the weekend he said that 23 members of opposition of Azimio have actually backed him to be the next opposition leader. The big question is, are we, or is he going to fit in Raila's shoe? Raila has been the opposition leader, but of course we know that opposition has got many many bosses, so to speak. They call themselves one amongst equal. They are the best. None of them is. But is Kalonzo Musyoka poised to fit in Raila's shoe? Mheshimiwa DG, you're a member of Wiper. I know you've been having your meetings. What is really happening in Azimio, specifically in Wiper?
Yes, correction. And the correction is, first is, before we went on break, there's something he said, like some of us who come from opposition, they are now more than the government itself. So I don't expect that kind of sentiment here. You know, here I'm very serious because I know I'm dealing with the government now. And I have to be very serious,
tell us how
very keen on what I say.
Yes.
So the question of Kalonzo, just once again a correction. It is not he declared himself. Political parties that form Azimio was sat and agreed that the next senior most after Raila Odinga is none other than the former vice president, who was deputy to President Kibaki. When all these things were happening, Kalonzo deputized President Kibaki, and we want somebody who can bring back that moment that we lost along the way. So in this case, it is not like I've been seeing the way it is being reported.
Yes.
And I'm telling those who have since left, please go. Don't you want to go? You want to remain? You know, that's unfair. That's unfair. You cannot once go everywhere celebrating, praising the Kenya Kwanza administration everywhere, and you want to continue holding. You want to be in the government, and you want at the same time to be in the minority. That's not fair. That's not fair. Make a decision, and I think the decision has already been made that we move maybe we purchase ODM and we support them to go to African Union, which is also a challenge. Itazindikana huko mbele, wewe ngoja utaona. Lakini we wish them, tunawaombea, we wish them well. But on the issue of Kalonzo declaring himself, no. That one I say, please let us correct that misinformation. There is nowhere Kalonzo has ever declared himself. In any case, even if he were to declare himself, no one else has come forward to say, I want to lead. So we wish well those who have rushed to join Kenya Kwanza. Kenyans will deal with them as we progress. Yes.
Is that like a coup in opposition? Because when he spoke in Mombasa, flanked by, Mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa, Jeremiah Kioni, etc., and he said it. Is that like a coup?
Before he said, why are we ignoring what other leaders from Azimio said?
What did they say?
The sentiments were very clear from Eugene Wamalwa, from Mheshimiwa Kioni, everybody who was there. They were talking about leadership of Azimio, and they were very clear who that person is. Why are we, as those who are reporting that kind of, it is Kalonzo declaring himself, why are we ignoring that fact?
Okay.
So he did not, he spoke the last, and before he spoke, those sentiments had already been met. There has been meetings on how the future of Azimio without those who have betrayed Kenyans. Yes.
So who is now the opposition leader of Azimio? Who's now the leader of Azimio?
The leader of Azimio, you heard, you have even pronounced him.
I have not said anything, sir.
That is His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. God willing, the 6th. President of the Republic of Kenya. God willing.
Mheshimiwa Karoli, are you vindicated? You were called manner of names. You know what I'm talking about. You decamped. He said that you are in government. You'll tell us how government you are. But do you feel you're vindicated? That all this is happening in Azimio, that a majority of people in Azimio said that you are rebels and all that. You left, and now here you are seeing this is happening.
Thank you. I won't even say I felt vindicated. There are elements where you even feel embarrassed because of the way people are conducting themselves. But anyway, let's put that aside.
That is...
yeah, let me put it this way.
Yes.
When we decided to engage with the president on development issues, it was an act of discharging our duty of representation. We never crossed over. We agreed we will work with the president to unlock the project activities that had stalled in our constituencies. And then we also agreed that we'll work on 3 areas. We want to see how we can improve governance by fighting tribalism in the country, how we can deal with corruption. And I've even, as I speak to you, I'm proposing a serious review that will lead to the enactment of Criminal Investigations Act. We don't have a Criminal Investigations Act, so I'm working on a Criminal Investigations Bill that will help with investigation of corruption cases. We also agreed we deal with economic challenges. Yes, things that affect, But we never crossed. That was a misnomer at that time. But that said, even some people in Azimio were already engaging the president. Some were even engaging him while we were still in the Supreme Court. Very senior people in Azimio. Azimio has always perplexed me. By the time it was being formed, I wasn't very close to the networks that were around it. But did you know that I think the only registered member of Azimio is Raila Amolo Odinga?
What do you mean?
As an individual, I suspect so. I have a feeling all the others belong to their parent political parties that are in the Azimio coalition. But Raila is probably the only individual registered as a member of Azimio. I suspect something like that. But if you look at even Azimio, Kalonzo Musyoka is a special case. He's been with Raila for a very long time. And he has delivered. Whenever he has come along to support Raila, he has delivered. So he's one person who I think should be looked at differently. But if you look at the other members of Azimio, Raila lost in all their home polling stations. Where President Uhuru votes, Raila lost. Where Martha Karua votes, Raila lost. Where Kioni votes, Raila lost. So you wonder, I mean, this Azimio, what is it? So for me, I've not paid so much attention to it. And I've been with these people for a long time. I knew it will not hold for much longer. So I don't even want to discuss it too much. What you see, ODM and the rest who have decided to have some form of engagement with the government should proceed with their plans. And those in Azimio who want to retain it with its identity and continue doing their work like Wiper, they should be left free to do it. It is, I mean, you would understand what the feeling Kalonzo and the supporters would have, especially having delivered and having stood very firmly behind Raila. And now things have completely changed. But again, they have this NADCO report, which is supposed to create positions of leader of opposition, all sorts of things. Again, there are things that are still hanging around.
And even Eugene Amala did not even sign it.
Yes, but now they want that position created, leader of opposition, which is an oxymoron in a presidential system of government. So there are many, many things. But even the way ODM, my party, the way our top leadership also walked out, you know, our two deputy party leaders, our chairman, our minority leader, all joined government. If it was not for the contradictions of our politics, in any other self-respecting nation, that would have been considered to be something else. But Kenya is just Kenya. We just have unique politicians with unique habits, and things are going on the way they are. But what I urge is, those in Azimio, let everybody find their path, let them pursue it, and let us not engage in unnecessary acrimony.
What do you make of this, Senator Mugatana? You are friends, you talk, you see what's happening?
I think Kenyans must start accepting that we are in a new constitutional order. And people clamoring to be called leaders of opposition are failing to understand that we are in a new constitutional order. Our constitution, our new constitution, is mirroring the American system of government, where there's only one president who is also head of state, and then there is a minority and a majority. Unlike in England, where there is a head of state who is the king, and there's opposition and there's government. And even in England, the opposition is a loyal opposition. You are not supposed to be against the state. So I think the confusion that has been brought recently of trying to make ODM look like it is in government is because of the way they appoint circumstances. The Republic of Kenya can appoint judges irrespective of their political affiliation. After the process of the Judicial Service Commission, nobody asks you where you are Wiper, you are in PA, you are in ODM, you are in UDA. Irrespective of your position, you hold that constitutional office. Irrespective of your position, you hold office equally. Position of your, be it faith, be it your political position, affiliation, you can sit at the Defense Council as the CDF, the Chief of Defense Forces, or Inspector General of Police, or all these people. So, and if you look at America, there have been people like Cabinet Secretary Henry Kissinger, who served different administrations. There is James Wilson. James Wilson to date holds the record of being the longest serving cabinet secretary. And he served different administrations. Even in Obama's administration, he was a Democrat, but there was a Republican there, the transport secretary, who served in his cabinet. So I think what William Ruto did is within the current constitution. It's just that it has not been done in that manner. When people see, oh, you are appointing Mheshimiwa so and so, who was elected in opposition or is an opposition somebody, then there is a merger. In fact, that constitution is very clear. There's no merger. So what there is, even if you are a Republican and you have been asked to be the defense, for example, cabinet secretary in the U.S. government, everybody knows this person you are serving as a Democrat in a Republican administration. It doesn't mean that now Republicans and Democrats have become one political party. In fact, when Gladys Wanga was talking the other day, people were not understanding. When she said, we are still going to play our role as opposition, people are not understanding. But in fact, that is where Kenya is going.
Yes.
That's where Kenya is going. I remember very well that there's a governor, the governor of New Mexico. During first Obama's administration, he had been elected as governor, and he was being asked if he could come and serve as a cabinet secretary. And he said, no, you are my friend, we supported you here, but I don't want to come.
Yes.
So this is the thing. Going in the future, people must accept that we are living in a new constitutional order. That people can come from different talents from everywhere. And when the president is doing those appointments, he's doing as head of state.
So you support the appointments?
I support the appointments of those individuals. And I think Kenyans should start accepting the reality of this new constitution. Now let me finish by saying this about Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka should not aspire to be Raila Odinga. I think that was your question. He really fit in his shoes. Like I've said, different leaders who occupy offices, depending on their personalities, they handle those offices differently. I've said for the president, equally for those people who are leading their political parties on the other side. When Mwai Kibaki was the leader of Democratic Party, there was DP, there was also Ford people that was being led by Matiba.
Yes.
And it's good to remind Kenyans that Matiba was like a cult following. Everyone, Matatus, Wea and Muranga, and a lot of people in Kenya, he was like a cult. You know, his name, he was the one who was going to remove Moi, according to the plans. But actually, at the end, Matiba said, no, we are not participating in these elections because there are problems. He tore his voters' card. So MPs were looking and saying, hey, we are not going to lose our seats because of this guy. They jumped to the leader who was quiet, who was not being in the road, being thrown canisters and whatever. They went there, and they were elected under DP. DP became a very strong opposition. And Mwai Kibaki was not in the streets doing what, and he ended being president. I'm saying this to relate it to Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
You will make the biggest mistake if you try to be like Raila Odinga. Everybody is different. Play your role as a leader of Azimio. Do your thing. Don't try to mirror people. It will be the worst mistake. Let him do the things that, for example, that young man called Morara is doing. Do those things so that the government is kept on check.
Very good.
You don't have to come and, feed
Did you listen to the senator? He's talking about the late Matiba. He's talking about charisma and image. That is perhaps he's trying to portray. That Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka does not have the charisma and the image.
Absolutely.
As the two comparisons. What do you make?
But those people have been nowhere in our national politics. Just tell me one who rose and succeeded. That's why I don't want Kalonzo to be associated with such. Yes, personally. He is not the position of the party or Azimio as a coalition. This is my personal view. He needs to be Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Kalonzo we know. The Kalonzo who prayed with the second president of the Republic of Kenya at the State House and still went for an opposition meeting in Thika. Okay? The Kalonzo who we know, once he makes a decision, he said he is not boarding. And Kenyans can see he is not. So he is on his own. There are no shoes to be filled. But you have seen the senator has difficulty trying to support ODM joining government, because that is what literally they have done. Mheshimiwa here was not he had a lot of challenges. He cannot explain here, but I know years from now he will write a book about it. Him and the group, they were branded as traitors. So now I'm wondering which is the biggest traitor here. Now, where the person they were being prohibited from talking to, from discussing development with, is now the same person who is being chased after. Even meetings are being now organized for him to attend. What? I don't understand. However, the point is...
I feel you.
The point is, we stood with the ODM, we stood with their leaders, we fought it to a man, and I can ask anybody here, including yourself, you can put for viewers to see how regions fought it in the last election. We, as a region where we come from, we fought it because we believed in Raila, and we have been fighting. In fact, in the last election, we fought it more than the Luo Nyanza fought it for Raila. Numbers can bear from IEBC how we fought it. Because we believed in him. If the time to move on is now and join administration that he did not believe in, then we say it is okay. There's something here which is very critical, and which I hope any of us will commend as we progress. Are we saying these youths who are demanding for better governance, improved accountability and transparency, some of them were forcibly abducted, have never been seen, might never be seen? Are we saying the price to pay them is to rush and join those who are perceived to have abducted them?
Yeah.
Is that what we are saying? Number two, Mungu halali, we have been shown, with or without Raila Odinga, demonstrations can be held in Kenya against anybody, Mwangangi included. So, the country is moving on.
The country is moving on.
The country is moving on.
Okay.
But instead of this so-called the broad-based government, which is basically incorporating ODM, instead of going that, we should have listed the demands from the young people and the demands that took Azimio to streets.
Okay.
And on a point form, we sit down and say, as a government, this is doable, this is doable, this is not doable. Right. And we tell the country as such. Because it is a big betrayal on my part.
I want us to do this, because I only have 3 minutes to wind up.
Yes.
Kids are still at home.
Yes.
Second week. Exams are just around the corner, candidates. Kupet says that the demands must be met. Perhaps under 1 minute, kindly. Where do you make all this on? I know all of us, either directly or indirectly, have candidates to take care of.
Let me say this.
In 1 minute, if you can.
In transforming a country, in state building, there is no way you are going to have a country without very good systems of education.
Yeah.
Systems that work, that have good quality. So in this case, I think we needed as a country, as a government, to have engaged these unions early enough to tell them the true state of our economy, and whichever problem that they have, we discuss with them so that we can clearly agree instead of having our students at home. Because currently, don't be lied to anybody, anything is happening with the education sector. So I think we should move very fast and address their needs and have candid discussion with them so that we can have normalcy in our education sector.
Thank you very much. Mheshimiwa Karoli Omondi, you talked to super people. They welcome the president, which is a very good thing. Again, he'll be welcomed again all over the country. A minute to thank them as well as you talk about the issue of education as we wind up.
Yeah, I think for the education sector, what I would like to say is, you know, a country's greatness is measured by its ability to solve its own problems.
Yeah.
This teacher strike is now becoming a phenomenon. beginning of term, beginning of exams. I think it is time both sides figure out how to have industrial action that is balanced, that is measured, but also the government to be responsive to the pleas and to the demands of the teachers. I mean, if you check what happens in most jurisdictions in advanced countries, strikes don't go on ad infinitum. That the learning calendar is completely disrupted, and they would go do it, create some balance, the government would be responsive. I think we need to be more engaging as a country. For the people of Suba South, I just want to thank them for welcoming the president a second time. I think this is not the last visit. Our next visit now will probably be by Honorable Kindiki Kithure, where we want to launch the new sub-counties, especially, I mean, in Sindo and in other areas. I think that will be the next visit. I hope they'll turn in large numbers to enjoy that ceremony.
Thank you so much. Senator?
Mine is just to appeal to the teachers. Please, you've made your point. TSC has also seen you've made your point. Now it's time to step back and give those people who are in administration to do what they need to do. I feel very bad, especially for students who come from a county such as our place in Tana River County. It hits us in a double way, because already we are disadvantaged. This is third term, and then traveling also to these schools is a problem. And when we reach, we are told go back because there are no teachers. I plead with them that they take a step back. Some of them are also parents like us. Take a step back and give TSC time to implement what they need to implement. That is my appeal.
All right. Thank you so much. I've also received an apology from Member of Parliament, Catherine Omanyi, who says that she was not able to come because she got an emergency, so she had to rush to attend. I understand how busy you get, gentlemen, so we give it to her. She really wanted to come. In fact, even the poster was out, so she's sent her apology. All right, we'll have her next time. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Kenyans are happy. There's a gentleman called Japheth Wabungoma. He says that he likes the panel. Sober discussion. Okay, so I also thank you, gentlemen, for waking up at that time of the morning, come to talk to people. Your brains are always brilliant, and you talk to Kenyans, they understand what really happens. Thank you so much. My name is Victor Lo. DG Mwangangi, representing the great people of Machakos County. Karoli Mondi, Member of Parliament, Suba South, thank you so much for coming, sir, as well as Senator Danson Mungatana. Wakili, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I thank you. My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversation.
It's art, it's culture,
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
All right, now from politics, we shift gears and look at what transformative leaders is all about. We are talking about the nexus between faith and work, how that nexus works out. And joining me for that conversation all the way from North Carolina is Dr. Julius Coons, who is the Executive Director of Christians in the Marketplace. Welcome to the program.
God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Now, when we talk about Christians in the Marketplace, tell me, what is the idea of founding such a ministry, and how is it helping or supporting believers in the workplace?
Well, if you look at the ministry of Jesus, most, if not all, of his ministry, just for a few, they were all done in the marketplace. All of his disciples were from the marketplace. So Jesus spent more time in the marketplace than he did in the synagogue or in the temple. So if Jesus spent more time there, then there must be something about the marketplace that he was trying to tell us. And I think it's a hidden jewel that really has to be discovered so that you can understand the magnitude and the opportunity that we have as believers to actually minister in the marketplace like he did.
Yes, the attitude has always been, or seems to be, Christianity works well in church as opposed to the workplace. Or when it comes to the workplace, it's put aside. How does that connect and ensure that people, or whoever the Christians who are working within the corporate sector can still practice their faith and still remain productive?
Well, I think it's a lack of understanding, because if you think about the word work and the word worship have the same Hebrew word, is avodah. So when you go to work, you're literally going to worship. And if people understood that if you go to work, you're literally going to worship, your work will be better, your attitude will be better. There's a lot to be done by the way of the kingdom if we fully understand what does it really mean to work or be in the workplace. Do you not know the marketplace was designed for unbelievers and believers to congregate in the same location? Only God could have planned that, because we wouldn't do that purposely on our own. So what God did, he created the marketplace so that unbelievers and believers can be in the same space. So we don't really have to go out to witness. He has literally brought people to us so that we can live out our faith.
Yes. Now, there is the aspect of success in family, in life, and also in careers. So how do biblical solutions apply in all this?
That's a great question. A lot of times when people ask me questions, especially concerning the marketplace, is that one of the greatest revelations that I've learned that in the marketplace is knowing your field. Now, as a husband, I am a disciple first. As a father, I am a disciple first. As a business owner, I am a disciple first. As a pastor, I'm a disciple first. So everything I do emanates from my discipleship. It makes things a whole lot effortless when you take the approach of being a disciple first, and then you minister out of your discipleship. Then it will make your family a lot easier to manage and to be in order. as well as the business community, as a business owner for over 25 years, I've been able to see the difference between what church life is about and what work life is about. So God has created, allowed me to have this position to be able to see on both sides. Now I understand why Jesus did 39 of his miracles. Of 42, he did it in the marketplace, not in church. Again, all of his disciples came from the marketplace. Not one minister, not one bishop, not one deacon, all came from the marketplace. Why? Because they understood the spirit of exchange.
Now, you have been involved in chaplaincy services for businesses. How has that impacted, or what has been the impact so far?
It's changed my life. It has literally changed my life. Because what I found out as a pastor, we can do what we're supposed to do within the four walls of the church and be successful. It's when you get beyond the four walls of the church, that's when you're really tested whether or not the love of God dwells within you. So what it has done for me, it has literally transformed my life, because I can love harder and I can love deeper than I've ever loved before. Why? Because I've been able to encounter people who don't love me, who treat me wrong and treat me bad, who curse me but yet I bless them, who hate me but yet I love them. Those who I pray for because they despitefully used me. If chaplaincy would not have been in order for me to become a chaplain, I don't think I would have ever been in the space to know whether or not the love of God truly dwelt within me. I think we hide behind titles. I think we hide behind the four walls and position within the church. And the church has become the bushel that our lights are now hidden. We need to get from beyond the church wall and determine whether or not we are truly believers and disciples of Christ. Chaplaincy would give you that opportunity. And most position in church will not give you the opportunity of a chaplain because it goes beyond the four walls.
All right. There's also the aspect where believers or people within the marketplace who are practicing their faith feel in a way disconnected from their faith. How can they regain that? Especially if this happens once they start their career, how can they navigate around that?
Oh, I think that's a great question. One of the things that I can tell you that people who don't understand that God called us to the marketplace, they would see a difference, they would see a divide, they would see it as if it's something that does not need to be done in the space of work. But I have found out that because people who understand church life, they don't engage their church life, because as I said many times before, you can live saved for an hour and a half in church. It's when you leave church, how do you live? How do you demonstrate the love of God when you're outside the four walls of the church? How do you reveal him? How does he come forth? Because it will give you an opportunity. And when you have family and you have church and you have work, how do you navigate that? You do it from out of your discipleship. And when I talk about chaplaincy, Mike, the thing that I tell people about chaplaincy is only an undercover disciple. That's all you are. Chaplaincy is an undercover disciple. We don't live as disciples, but we do live as Christians. Now, what's the difference? The difference is this, Mike, is that the Bible said in Acts chapter 11, verse 26, that the disciple was first called Christian. So in order to really be a Christian, you must first be a disciple. And we're not teaching discipleship, but we are inviting people to become Christians.
So when we talk about this aspect, there's something that comes up. Is it about doing a certain thing, or it's about authenticity in the way that a person behaves, whether they are in the corporate world or private sector world? Is it about doing a certain thing, or it's about authenticity?
Well, the Bible said, be not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is about transformation. It's good that you have transformative leaders as the title for today. It is about being transformed and not just change. Because you can change and change back. But if you ever get transformed, you can't go back. What do you mean by that? Well, when a caterpillar become a butterfly can never become a caterpillar. Why? Because he went through a metamorphosis, a transformation. So in Christ, we should all experience what does it mean to have a transformative life. And only through him we can do that. But he takes us going through some things, just like the butterfly or the caterpillar has to go through a cocooning process in order to be transformed. Sometimes we have to be put in a cocoon, a spiritual cocoon, so that we can also be transformed. And that's how it makes the difference between those who fully don't understand and those who feel as if there's a way that they can live saved and there's a way to do it, but there's a proper space. Jesus said, take the kingdom wherever you go. Wherever you go, you take the kingdom. And that's my message, is let's not miss the opportunity that God has given us as believers, whether we're at church or whether we're in the marketplace. God is going to always, through the Holy Spirit, going to give us an opportunity to bring him forth. And we don't ever want to miss those opportunities because, again, we feel as if the marketplace is not the place to do that. And it is the perfect place to bring him forth. It is the perfect place. And that's why I'm passionate, because as a pastor for 15 years, I have never been able to be in a space and the opportunity to reveal Christ like I do right now. There is so much grace and there's so much God has shown me as a chaplain, even more so than as a pastor, because I'm gifted to pastor, but I've been called to the marketplace.
How does that affect the relations between the workers and their bosses, especially when it comes to matters of faith within the workplace?
Absolutely. It's a lifestyle. It's a lot. I think sometimes we talk more than we live. I think if you live out Christ's teaching, it will be evidence of people around us that there's something different about you. It's not a life of compromising. It's a life of compassion. So we go to the workplace not wearing a big cross around our neck or carrying a big Bible. But if you live out the life and character of Jesus Christ, it will impact and affect and influence other people to ask you questions. How do you get through some of your tough times in life? How do you get through that crisis in your life? Why? Because we are not of this world. We're in it, but we are not of this world. And our faith has to be tested. And when our faith is tested, Mike, other people will know the God that you truly serve. That's how we are able to influence our co-worker, not because of what we say, but how we live.
The aspect of achieving uniqueness is very important, especially if you want to make an impact in the area in which you are working. So how does that uniqueness help to attract people through inspiration and actually giving hope?
Well, again, not giving. First, I can say this. As a characteristic of Christ, you go to work on time, and you stay there when you need to finish. Some people go to work late and they leave early. Well, that's not showing a good character of Christ, because other people are always watching you, and they're watching us, so they can determine what a Christian truly looks like. And I don't think sometimes we have done a good job with that. And I think the idea of what people are looking for and how they are able to get through some of their life adjustment in crisis is that they're always looking for a solution. They're always, and sometimes they've been led by the wrong people because they have these itching ears, and we have these people who give in false doctrine that they may be able to hear because of what they want to hear. But those that's in the marketplace, Mike, those who go to work every day and they have these issues that they can't talk to anyone about, that's where we come in. We come in with a listening heart, not just a listening head, but we come in with a listening heart. And the more we die to self, the more Christ is revealed to others. That's why I encourage everyone, if you haven't looked at the life of a chaplain, or you haven't thought about being a chaplain, I will encourage those who may be listening to think about being a chaplain so that you can get the experience of what does it mean to go deeper? What does it mean to go into the marketplace for 8 to 10 hours a day? Think about this, Mike. We work 8 to 10 hours a day. We bring Christ to work. Do we complain? Do we argue with the boss? How do we treat our coworkers? Or are we trying to be a peacemaker? Or are we complaining? Are we bringing in things that perhaps does not need to be in the workplace? So all of these things is part of life, and we bring all of these to work. And people need someone, just someone, to maybe just lay their head on and say, can I talk to you? And God has blessed me over the last 7 years as a chaplain. I've been able to reach more people as a chaplain than I have as a pastor. Currently, right now, we have graduated over 475 students from our program. We have licensed over 175 people in less than 4 years. We are now in 40 in the United States. We are in Canada, and we are in East Africa now. And God is going to expand us to the Philippines, hopefully by the end of this year, because he sees the magnitude of what this ministry can do. That's why I'm excited, and that's why I'm excited about being here with you.
Yes. And in terms of productivity, whether you're practicing faith or you're practicing your career, productivity is very important. Now, why or how can believers, especially within the marketplace, take advantage of that and enhance their productivity, and why?
Yes, sir. Yes, great question, Mike. It's a spirit of excellence. It's a spirit of excellence. God gave us a spirit of excellence. And the reason why is that we're supposed to be doing work that people will want to know. How do you do what you do? Give us an opportunity to do work so well, and so that we can produce so well that other people will want to know. How do you do what you do? How is it that most of the awards, what are you doing that I'm not doing? What a great opportunity, Mike, for them to say, you know what, as a believer, can I share with you why I do what I do? And that is for you to ask me questions and to let me tell you about the God that I serve. These are reasons why productivity is important to a business, I just got hired on as a chaplain to a company here in North Carolina because I met with them one time and they saw how beneficial a chaplain would be in their company. And they almost hired me on the spot because they saw it as a benefit, because people go to work and they're hurting. And when people can find solution at work, they become better workers. They become confident in their work. And that's why I believe that if we can demonstrate the love of God through this ministry of chaplaincy, I believe that you and anyone else that experiencing workers, you will see a dramatic change in your workplace. And we have people who can demonstrate what the spirit of excellence is all about.
Yes. Now, in the workplace, there are motivators, various motivators to enhance productivity for people within a company or a business setting. You're talking about bonuses, salary increments, promotions. how should believers approach their work regardless of these motivators?
Oh, because we have to, again, think, man, you got some great questions, man. I'm telling you, the idea of understanding, why do you go to work? If you go to work just to get a paycheck, that is the wrong reason for a believer. If you go to work just so that you can buy a new car, a new house, all of those things are great. They're good. But if we go to work as believers, not knowing that that is a place of worship, the Bible talks about in Luke, know your field. The Bible said the field are the people of the world, but we are the seed, the Son of God. So we go to the field, and we are planted in the field. And the field is where you work. That's your field. So when we go to work, we're literally going to the field that we're planted in. Why? Why did God put us there? Because we are the sons of God, and we have to be planted in the world that we can demonstrate to others who our owner is, who the owner of the land is. So that's why I believe that through this type of ministry, so when people come to work and they have to understand why they're there, if they know that work is worship. You think about it, Mike. If you know that I'm coming in to work for 8 hours for worship, it would change a person's mindset.
Yes.
When they open their car door and they get into their car and they head down the street, praying for the people who driving beside them. Why? Because I'm going to worship. And you go into your office and you go into your cubicle, and wherever your space is, it is sanctified, it's saturated. It's saturated with the Spirit of God. And because of that, the Spirit himself draws people to you because they see the light. They see the light. And that's why when we go to work and when we understand that this is worship, it will change your mind. I know it changed mine.
Yes. And it's still on that aspect. There's the aspect of what's in it for me versus what my faith expects of me. Do you think those two scenarios attract similar responses or diverse responses?
Can you repeat that for me one more time?
The aspect where I'm getting into the marketplace with the idea that, quote unquote, what's in it for me? And on the other hand, there's the aspect of, quote unquote, what my faith expects of me. Do you think both of those scenarios attract different responses or similar responses?
I think it can be both. I do. I think it can be both. It's just like I know you may have heard of Michael Jordan. You may have heard of him. You may have heard of Tiger Woods. If you have heard of those two men, they're great in their sport. But they said they need a coach. Michael said it because he can't see his dribble. Tiger Woods said he can't see his swing. Even as good as we are in our faith, we still need an opportunity to get better. And when we are in the marketplace, we are being tested to get better. It's like going to the gym. It's like working out. There's some spiritual muscles that we haven't used in a long time. There's some faith muscles that we haven't used in a long time. So I think they go hand in hand, because what doesn't get used, you will lose it. So the idea or the question is that even though I feel as if I'm saved, I feel that I love Jesus, I feel that I have faith, but how do I know unless you're tested? How do you know if you test it with your faith? And that's why it's important. I believe that it's important that when we do have these opportunities to be able to express ourselves and to be able to use our faith and to be able to work and cause people to see the excellence of what we do, I think that's what's going to help us bring forth Christ.
Yes. How do you think Christian principles impact on job and approach to services?
Christian principle is something that we have to live by, regardless of what is in the workplace. We still are accountable and responsible for Christian's principle. So we don't compromise because we have a paycheck. We don't compromise because we want to get a position at work. We use these principles to live by. And these principles are going to help us to walk out our faith. Because at the end of the day, you have to ask the question, or we have to ask the question, did I please the Lord today? Did I do something to glorify him today? When we take an account of what happened at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, can we account for what we did to please him? That is accountability that we owe to him because of the life that he's given us. And so when it comes to that, it really relies on the responsibility that we have been given and the opportunity that we have been given to, when we go into the workplace, to know that these are things that the Lord has trusted us with, because people need the Lord.
Dr. Coons, what is your parting shot?
Say it again?
Your parting shot.
What is my packet? Say it one more, I'm sorry.
Yeah, your final words.
I think I understood your question. You said, what is my degree?
No. I'm asking your final words because we are coming to the close of the segment.
Yes. My final word is this. Couple of things that I will like to share with those who may be listening. One is that we are doing a conference there on the 27th. We're doing a conference there, as well as a graduating class for those who graduate throughout the entire year. We're going to be coming there on the 25th, leaving on the 25th, getting there on the 26th, and we're going to be doing a graduation and a conference that Saturday. We would like for everyone to come out to learn more about the Marketplace ministry and just to share what Christians in the Marketplace is doing locally and around the world, that in the space that God has given us. I do want to say that for those, again, who are listening, is to remind them that every church leader should consider about being a chaplain. And what does it truly mean to be a Christian in the Marketplace? It's to develop a better understanding of what it means to be a disciple of Christ. Serving with your heart and not just with your hand. Putting others first. Down to self, that Christ may be revealed, and having the character of Christ in the marketplace. This is something that I have experienced over these last 7 years as a chaplain, and as a pastor for 15 years. I know the difference, and I know how impactful chaplaincy can be, and just simply being a Christian in the marketplace. So I do appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share with your audience, Mike, and I appreciate, again, those who are there in Kenya, that we have formed a team. We have formed a Christians in the Marketplace team there in Kenya to help us to grow the ministry of chaplaincy there in Nairobi and beyond.
All right.
Thank you so much. God bless you. And again, I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for making time to come here on Good Morning Kenya and talk about the aspect of Christians in the marketplace. That is Dr. Joseph Coons, who is the Executive Director of Christians in the Marketplace. This is where we end this segment, but don't go too far. Vivian Ndegwa is coming back with more on cyber security. Good morning.
for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day. the young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya.
We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversation.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports,
Drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
to keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Moses Mudavadi was an influential politician in Western Kenya and within the ruling party, Kenya African National Union (KANU). As an influential member of President Daniel Arap Moi's government, Moses Mudavadi was the only person other than President Moi who would receive delegations at his residence. Even diplomats who wanted to quickly pass certain messages from their countries to State House reportedly paid courtesy calls on him at home instead of going to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. For his political influence in Western Kenya, Mudavadi was nicknamed the King of Mololo in reference to the village of his birth. Mudavadi held 4 cabinet positions at various times during his tenure in Parliament. They included the Ministry of Basic Education, the Ministry of Water Development, the Ministry of Culture and Social Services, and the Ministry of Local Government and Physical Planning. He also served as KANU Secretary General. Born in 1923 in Sabatia, Mudavadi attended the old Kima Boys Secondary School before joining Maseno School and then Alliance High School. For tertiary education, Mudavadi studied at the Leeds University in England and Harvard University in the US. Moses Mudavadi served briefly as a warrant officer in the King's African Rifles before becoming a teacher, later rising to the position of District Education Officer in Western Kenya and Rift Valley Province before being appointed the first Provincial Education Officer for Nairobi. During his time working for the Ministry of Education in the Rift Valley, Mudavadi met Daniel Arap Moi, a teacher at the time, and a strong friendship developed between the two. As a school's inspector stationed in Cabranet and in charge of Barin and other areas, Mudavadi recommended the future president for an in-service course that paved the way for his promotion. Mudavadi also influenced decisions to appoint Moi as the head of the Cabranet Intermediate School and to represent the Rift Valley in the Legislative Council. Mudavadi ventured into politics in 1969 but failed to win the Vihiga parliamentary seat. He was also unsuccessful in the second attempt in 1974. He lost the seat to Peter Kibisu, who was subsequently convicted on an assault charge. Mudavadi won the 1976 by-election, and his long-term friendship with Daniel Arap Moi proved useful in his political career. Mudavadi joined Parliament at a time when a group of politicians was trying to change the constitution to block Moi, then the vice president, from succeeding President Jomo Kenyatta. Mudavadi backed his friend, a decision that worked well for him when Moi became president in 1978. Mudavadi was appointed to the cabinet in 1979 as Minister for Basic Education in charge of teacher training colleges and schools. During his tenure at the Basic Education Ministry, Mudavadi was accused of admitting mostly people from his home area to teacher training colleges and was accused of the same when he was moved to the Ministry of Water Development in 1980. Despite the public outcry, he was not fired. Although his stay at the Ministry of Water Development was somewhat controversial, Mudavadi worked to improve the water situation in drought-stricken areas of the country. In 1982, Moses Mudavadi was moved to the Ministry of Culture and Social Services. Women's issues fell under his docket. He was instrumental in urging Maendeleo ya Wanawake, the women's development organization, to ensure that its efforts resonated in the rural areas. Mudavadi is perhaps best remembered as Minister for Local Government, a position he was appointed to in 1983. Once again, his time there was not without controversy. At one point, he over-nominated councillors to civic authorities, exceeding the stipulated 1/3 ratio. A validation bill was quickly approved in Parliament to regularize the anomaly. In 1982, the minister disbanded many wayward civic authorities in the country, establishing commissions in their place. The biggest casualty was the Nairobi City Council, whose mayor Nathan Kahara was dismissed along with all his councillors, with the commission headed by John Ramtu being in charge for 10 years until 1992. After an illustrious career in the civil service and in politics, Mudavadi died in 1989 at the age of 66 years. His son, Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, carried on the legacy by going into politics.
We are glad that you are with us. This is Good Morning Kenya, and we get on to yet another segment right here on the show. And right now, we are getting into the discussion of cybersecurity and AI. The topic of our conversation today being transforming cybersecurity strategy with AI. And joining me for this particular conversation are people in that industry. And on my immediate left, we have Heather Chowdhury, and he is the Cyber Pro Head of Cybersecurity and AI. And on my far left, we have Dunstan Akwiri. He is the Vice President, Strategic Partnership, Cyber Pro. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, for the purpose of our conversation, if we can just begin with the definitions, that's cybersecurity and AI.
Okay. Cybersecurity and AI, these are actually two very key words, we hear every day now because cybersecurity has been haunting us for quite a bit now. Mm-hmm. So defining cybersecurity is anything to do with data, whether it is personal, whether it's public data, and how do we protect it. Mm-hmm. Security, when it comes to data, it has two different understandings. Mm-hmm. One as how you are securing or storing your data, that is one, and then who has access to it. So if any unauthorized access comes to your personal or public data, that is a breach, and that's which mostly covered under cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to AI, so AI actually has been in our lives for a very long time. Yeah. So even very basic things which we do day to day has some kind of automation, some kind of artificial intelligence in it. Mm-hmm. But that concept has been developed over years, and now it is actually more into making our lives more secure, protecting our data, and if we come across any issues when it comes to data breaches or maybe any cybersecurity attacks, so automation to remediate those attacks, AI has to play a very big role. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, and maybe how is AI? You've mentioned that it's being used to play those roles that you've just touched on. So how is it being integrated into cybersecurity strategies?
Thank you, Vivian. Now, I like the way you put it. It's cybersecurity and AI. Yeah. Like other people put it, cybersecurity versus AI. It's usually not really one of the same, but quite different. Mm-hmm. Right now, cybersecurity, the whole concept about technology is people, processes, and technology. Mm-hmm. Right? So cybersecurity is the whole idea of not only data, but being able to make the people aware of the possible threats and how to be able to mitigate around them, and of course to monitor their processes that are going about, to monitor the technologies that are using. So cybersecurity is the whole, I would call it a science and an art all in the same time, how to be able to make sure that your data is safe. The people accessing it are well aware of what is going on. The technologies being used have been tested and proved that they're working very well. And AI basically is making machines more intelligent, either more intelligent or the same intelligence as a human being. So the incorporation of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity is not going anywhere. AI has been with us since the 1950s, all right? So you find that in 2024 currently, the trajectory of AI has really improved over the years. Why? Because there are some new things which have come about that people can easily relate with. Machine learning was back then in the 80s, all right? But now we have deep learning, you know, chatbots. We have generative AI. Look at commonly ChatGPT, what people mostly are using for generating and new or rather summarizing documents. So that is what has really made the trajectory of AI really gone up the scale. So incorporation of AI tools into cybersecurity is something that has to be there. We cannot escape it. So there are very many tools, and unfortunately for the industry, we don't have an all seamless tools to be able to actually mitigate all these things. We have specific tools for something. Talk of endpoints, all right, or endpoint detection and response tools to be able to protect endpoints. Talk of network defenses. There is no seamless tool for protecting all these infrastructure at once, and that is one of the things that I feel we're getting there. We will get there. But so yeah, AI tools are very much essential, and we cannot escape away from it, because right now we have got so many AI-driven attacks. Most of the attacks, in fact 95% of attacks globally emanate from emails. You know, some prince from some very fancy country have sent you an email, you click on it, you get some $10 million, So for you only to download and notice that you have downloaded a virus or a ransomware or some malicious program. So most of those particular emails are sent because they are AI driven. Somebody is able to get very good information and details about you. They draft a very good email through AI, customized for you to be able to touch, to touch into your emotions, and hence you're able to fall into the trap. So how are we able as human beings to be able to defend this? Is through AI as well.
Maybe what are some other AI-driven tools that are being used to revolutionize cybersecurity that you can touch on? You've mentioned a few. Maybe what others can you touch on?
Okay, so there are so many tools. Actually, more than tools, there are actually basically AI structures which we work on. So what happens, as Dunstan rightly said, that we have, there is no one tool. It's a combination of different practices, different tools, and it totally depends on what industry we are working with. For example, if we are working with banking industry, so they are one of the industries which has the highest capacities or the biggest data they have, because they have a lot of consumer data, transactional data, and they have retrospective data that how, you know, we have like even laws passed locally that for any transactional or user data has to be retained maybe 5 to 7 years. Then based on that, there are different tools which they utilize to enhance the operations. That is one. They can also look into how the threats have been like 5 years ago and how they are now. So same thing, tools which we are using for the well-being of humans, also hackers are using the same tools to nail us down as well. Okay, so it's both ways. So data has to be trained into a certain format for it to be analyzed well. Okay, that's where AI comes in, because when you have bulks and bulks of data from any industry, from any public facing interface, so AI has to look into that. If there is any malicious activity going on, if a user who is trying to connect to a certain platform, is it a real user? That's why two-factor authentication came into being. Even, you know, when we log on to our banking websites or our mobile apps, it sends you an OTP, and then, you know, you have to authenticate yourself severally to be legitimize your access. Okay, so what we can see is that these tools are developed as and when needed, And there is no specific tool, because ChatGPT is one of them. Now Bing AI is one of them. Then Meta AI is another tool we just came into, it came into picture recently. Now some of the local, academia and industry is also start offering some kind of certifications in that, but they are still expensive. They are not widely available. They are not easily available. And then you still have to have a certain level of prerequisite of knowledge into these technologies to even use them properly.
Sure.
Like, for example, GPT prompts, you cannot get it right the first time. You have to keep on working on it. Now, AI has come into picture, like AI over AI, so that is called generative AI, which can create a new output for you. Basic AI is just analysis of data.
Okay.
Generative AI will create a new product out of it. Means that, okay, it has analyzed, then it has found maybe some trigger points, and it is giving you an output in such a way which did not exist before. So that's why we cannot just pinpoint on one tool. These are just platforms to check that whether if it is working or not. But it is working, okay? So we just have to make it more accurate, and accuracy can only come from the accurate data input. If you feed AI tools false data, it will give you a false output, right? So the more accurate data is, the more accurate output can be. So these are the era of people developing new tools, perfecting them, optimizing them. That is the way, I'm from industry. So we have seen industry is developing a lot of new category of hardware as well, which never existed before in such a way. So that the data can be analyzed faster, more accurately. So they have also introduced a combination of machine learning and artificial intelligence to train the data and get the desired output, and the accuracy should be at the highest level. Previous tools we were using the accuracy, some tools giving you accuracy of maybe 50%, some are giving 60%, 70%, but we see considerable difference now because of the new tools getting more accurate. And then again, these are custom tools. Again, right, Dunstan said, you cannot have one tool for everything.
Yeah, sure.
Every industry, like healthcare, has to have a different category of tools altogether.
Yeah.
Same way, governments, they have different workloads, different type of data. It has citizen data, so it has to be managed in a totally different way.
Okay.
So these are some of the, things which we can.
All right. Dunstan, you mentioned that AI has been here. You also said that
yes, exactly.
Yeah, you actually gave us a year. It's been here since the 1950s.
Yes.
I think it's just now that we are maybe catching up on it, or rather not really catching up on it, but loudly speaking about it, because people are feeling like artificial intelligence is now just coming in, but it's been there for a while. Now, compared to the traditional methods back then in the day, compared to AI right now, maybe what are some of the advantages that AI has over the traditional methods back then?
Okay, thank you for that, Vivian. Now, to be specific, so that I don't get hanged after I've left here, AI has existed. It was basically a research project, right? Back in the 1930s, not even 50s, by a gentleman called Alan Turing, right? So it started getting momentum around 1950s. And then all of a sudden in 80s, 2010, there was the whole now vibe of machine learning. And then in 2020s, there was deep learning, whereby now we have generative AI and chatbots, all right? And so to the question of the advantages and some of the tools, machine learning basically is just, machine learning is not artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a general name for all these things. All right, deep learning is another category of artificial intelligence, machine learning for that matter. And so we have others, artificial neural networks and so on and so on. And so machine learning is one of the subsets of artificial intelligence that has really been used or is really being utilized in cybersecurity for that matter. So machine learning is essentially trying to identify patterns in a steroid manner, for lack of a better word, all right? So identifying patterns steroidically, all right? Patterns is what really makes us key in terms of identifying data. There's a triangle, there's a circle, there is a cube, there is a trapezium. So all these types of patterns, for a human mind to be able to interrupt them and really analyze them very fast becomes very tedious. So with the inception of machine learning being enhanced into cybersecurity, you are able to actually do them in a split of a time. So identifying all these patterns, let's say for example, I'll give you a case scenario. There is, when a user is trying to access a domain, for example, kbc.co.ke, all right, that is, they punch in the URL, all right, for the domain, and then it resolves into an IP address, and I think the IP address is 102.224.24.2, if I'm not wrong, for KBC, right? That is what the URL resolves to, the IP address. And that particular IP address is able to get to a file name on a file server. So imagine if the file server has a malicious program. So the users, instead of accessing the content for kbc.co.ke, they're accessing a virus. So it becomes a whole thread. When you put it on a knowledge graph, it becomes a whole thread of not really being able to identify where the problem came in. And maybe this is not just one user. These are thousands of users or millions of users globally. So with the use of machine learning, you are actually able to put it on a knowledge graph. Basically, knowledge graph is able to, this is the ability of using logical and physical world and transforming it into digital concept, so that you're able to identify all these patterns and where they're connecting. So with the machine learning, the whole way of identifying patterns in a very fast way, you can be able to actually know where the threats are coming from, where the threats are emanating.
Before they occur.
Yes, before they occur. And actually, that is the difference between the modern way using artificial intelligence and the traditional way, because the traditional way was more of proactive, right? So, for example, a typical antivirus, traditional antivirus, don't want to mention a few, they usually work on a signature based. All right, there is A, there is B. This particular file exists in pool A, so that is a malicious application or a malicious file. Pool B does not exist, it's not malicious. So the question is, what if there is a file that really does not exist in that database? So the traditional antivirus will not be able to determine what really happens, or if it's a malicious or not malicious. But with the introduction and inception of machine learning, it is able to detect from the signatures the unknowns, which becomes a very big issue. Yes.
Yeah. So the main advantage is mainly on identifying and responding to threats.
Identifying, responding, discovering, research. Yes, because now we are having tools just like the way ChatGPT is for prompting documents and everything. You can have a tool whereby you have all these data sets stored in a database, all right, for any organization, and millions of logs and activities are coming in. So you can easily prompt and find where the error came in. And it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of frustrations for companies and corporates, and yeah.
Yeah, nothing fails to have a disadvantage. So maybe what are the disadvantages of AI? As much as we are lauding it, you know, what are some of the disadvantages?
But okay, going back to the point Dunstan made, actually, what AI does, it provides intelligence to systems to start thinking and behaving like people. Okay, so that's the key. So what normally happens, as he rightly said, the tools or the mechanisms we were using in the past, it was just to a reference point whereby it is good or bad. Okay, so machine learning or deep learning or AI, what it does, it just not only compare it to a reference point, but it also looks at the behavior. Okay, like humans look at each other's behavior. You are angry, you are sad, you are happy, you can see the behavior. So same way, if we talk about, I have like maybe an Excel document, I have maybe a spreadsheet, or I have a Word document, I have a letter which I want to open, or maybe a PDF file. These are common documents which we use on a daily basis, right? So I double click on my PDF file, maybe it is a document I received from one of my managers. So it is supposed to open a document and display a document. So that is a normal behavior of a file. Instead of that, if that file is trying to connect to maybe another machine, or maybe it is trying to connect to maybe an external server, or maybe it's trying to open up another file, or maybe another application which is not listed as a safe one. So actually that's a behavior that is not comparable to anything we have seen in the past, right? So that behavior analysis also enables our cybersecurity infrastructure through ML, AI, and deep learning that this is something funny, which hasn't happened in the past. Now, coming to your point, what are the drawbacks or maybe the shortcomings when it comes to AI? Now, I just want to refer to a point earlier you put up for Dunstan, that why now the buzz is of AI and, you know, all these things. AI requires data. Our country haven't had much data in 90s, right? We are like a new generation digitized country, right? So we start building our databases from 2010 onwards most of the times. That's why now we have enough data that we can start implementing AI models. So again, the point earlier discussed that AI can only work efficiently if we provide it with the right data. If data is manipulated, the outcome will be manipulated. That's where a lot of cyber threat actors, they work with AI whereby they feed your systems wrong information and a wrong output comes up, okay? So that is another reason our Gen AI tools, when we use them, the reference data is not enough. So legitimacy of data is key. That is one shortcoming. Second shortcoming is that the environment we are using it at, because again, AI still use some kind of reference points, which is our primary data. Okay, so the output is totally driven by that. So again, reliability is again questionable. That how much we rely on output. Who's going to check that if the AI has generated a certain output for you or a certain data set for you, how accurate it is, right? So that's where generative AI tools are now developed to reanalyze the AI outputs as well. But again, trust me on this one when I say that, because I am telling you from experience. AI adoption for smaller automations is good. But at this point in time in Kenya, we cannot have a fully automated platform. Whether it is a simple shopping cart on one of the e-commerce websites, a lot of people does not have automated fulfillment, right? Even for payment processing, there are so many payment gateway switchers, they want to come to Kenya. We still don't have Apple Pay here. We don't have Google Pay over here. Why? Because the fully automated system is not there yet. So we are building our data, we are analyzing it, and we are adapting to the new AI tools. But the accuracy is going to be a threat always. So we can be automated, but we cannot be fully automated. But we need more learned people like Dunstan, my brother over here, people who really know, lead the nation, enable our kids to learn this thing from their high schools, from their university level, to understand what this whole platform is about. So that we have more people who are designing more accurate tools, more, like I want to take one name, it's called LLM, Large Language Modules, whereby you can analyze bulks of data. So kids who are in universities right now, they can start learning how to create LLMs. So that tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years after, when we have a lot of data to be analyzed, so the accuracy of our output would go higher and higher with more specialized people available in the industry and also in the local job market.
Just to add something on it, intelligence basically is because of three components, right? It can be defined as so many things, but intelligence is basically to be able to learn, to be able to infer, and then to be able to discover. That's all about intelligence, and that's what we're trying to do with all these artificial intelligence in terms of developing them and building the whole infrastructure. And the key thing, what Haida had talked about, the key thing in shortcomings for AI is the legitimacy of the data that is being trained on. Because that is the main thing that these malicious actors use to be able to actually give give false positive in terms of outputs and results. Because I want to be able to know that on this day, so and so comes to work, they download maybe 3 confidential files in a week, but all of a sudden they are creating new accounts, they're downloading close to 300 confidential data and code documents or data or information, and then they're deleting their accounts. So I want to be able to analyze that particular pattern. But if I I'm not able to do that because of the false data that was initially used to train this particular model, then I mean it's of no use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe what are the ethical considerations when it comes to using AI in cybersecurity, specifically when we're talking about data protection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough
I can take that one for you. So, this has been in discussion for long.
Yeah.
But thank you to Government of Kenya that finally we have a law on protecting data privacy, which came into force earlier last year, whereby now we have like a dedicated platform, the Office of Data Privacy and Security Commissioner.
Yeah.
So that has actually changed quite a bit because now people are really vigilant that what information to share and then to whom to give access.
Yeah.
So data privacy has always been there. It's been a very big issue. Unknowingly, we pretty much shared our yearbook pictures on social media, and then after that, what happened to those pictures, we don't know. So practically, me personally, for last 10 years, I do not post anything on social media anymore because I don't know who has access to it.
Speaking about that, how do we move forward, from now? Because most of us, our information is on social media.
Yes.
It's right there. Anyone can just get access to it. There's someone I saw just recently complaining because someone took up did some AI stuff
exactly.
and generated a person who looks exactly like me speaking about this product, and I wasn't the one speaking about it. The voice is mine because my voice is on YouTube, my voice is there, the face is there. So how do we move forward from there?
So
are there tools being looked into to try and counter that?
Okay, so actually this is what Dunstan was saying. Your data was trained into a system to generate something, right? So that's where local laws and legislation has to play a very, very important role. Okay? Because see, unknowingly, a lot of people do not protect their personal data. Okay? And if you look at the social media platforms we use, the disclaimer says that we will use your data for marketing purposes, we will use your data to developing new products, we will use your data for maybe local companies to do marketing for you. So all those things are there. And knowingly or unknowingly, we have accepted that in our previous disclaimer signing and okay. And
we always just
exactly.
Without even
So
doing it.
I think this thing has to go down again, what I earlier said, it has to go down to our kids. We have to start training them and making them understand. Because see, at this point, if I come to know something is not going on okay, so I know which tools to work with and maybe protect ourselves. But a kid of 10 or 11-year-old using mama's or papa's phone, and they are just accessing something or maybe making profiles while using their father's or mother's phone. So actually they are potentially exposing their parents to threats which they don't know, they didn't vouch for. So I can give you an example. I have a 10-year-old son. So he likes to do gaming online and stuff. So one of these days, he used his mother's email address to sign up to a platform. Eventually, it was a scam, and actually, somebody was trying to hack my wife's email address. So I told her, because I also got an alert, I told her, who's using your email? Because somebody is trying to change your password. So it was my son who was trying to use her email to sign up to a gaming website, which happens in every house nowadays. So actually we have to train our kids more and give them that information that this is what is happening out there on social media, on gaming websites, because actually it is just like a carrot for the rabbit. They show kids that, okay, you can access this website, just use your mom's email address, and that mom's email address was connected to her bank account. It was connected to her credit card. The phone number was connected to her credit card. So that financial theft is now being initiated from the kids because kids does not have that level of knowledge. So these kind of threats can be prevented from the house level. You start talking to your kids, tell them the devices are for you to access a certain area only. You cannot just keep on using it. Then we train our students. And also we have to train our industry as well. Whether it comes to banking, when it comes to our government, people has to get trained. That training is key. Because if you are not trained on how to sharing or accessing a certain type of data, then we are bound to make mistakes.
Yeah, you won't know.
Right? Yeah.
As we come to the end of this conversation, maybe how will the adoption of AI impact cybersecurity professionals?
Okay.
Well, I will quote somebody in some conference who said, AI is not going anywhere. And really, AI is not so much going to replace people, but people without AI will be replaced by people with AI.
Okay.
All right. And the whole concept is, the reason as to why, just to take you back a little, the reason as to why I said that is a tricky one on matters ethics, because there is a whole idea of data confidentiality and data privacy. But again, on the other side, of which is being separated by a very thin line, there is the matter of how are we going to access this data to train our models if we're being restricted not to have them because of matters data privacy or data protection. All right? So it all comes down to, another analogy, it all comes down to our police forces. I mean, we're entrusting them with our lives and we're giving them guns and everything, but they're able to protect our lives. So we really need to look for a way to be able to give education to these particular individuals, engineers and scientists, all right, who want to be able to train our models, who want to be able to be upfront in terms of artificial intelligence products and cybersecurity, so that not only do we trust them, but we also believe that they're going to use our data to be able to protect us or for our own good. So, and that is what we try to do in the industry or as a company. Not only do we train on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, but also we do train on the ethics and the communication parts of it. Because at the end of the day, being a human is what matters. Yeah? So when I give you my data, I want to trust that I'm giving you a script to go and do, but again, please don't do it without my consent. Because at the end of the day, we cannot say that we will be able to have tools that, you know, the moment I put Vivian's video online, they pull it down. Internet is so huge, so we really can't do that, because maybe it's targeting Africa, but somebody has posted in, you know, in the US or in Asia, yes. So we really need to strengthen on that matters of ethics, and that is one of our core things that we do at our company, CyberPro. But again, the whole concept is we need to make everybody aware of what is happening and what is going on in the world.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this conversation. And thank you just for informing us and educating us on this matter that is cybersecurity and AI. We look forward to have you more and more time so that we can get into this.
Just before we finish,
we're overrunning.
Okay. No worries. No worries.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to each and every one of you who has been tuning in on the show. This is where we put a cap to today's Good Morning Kenya. Until tomorrow, God willing, do have yourselves a lovely day. Goodbye.
What is wrong with you people, eh? I thought this was a place for quiet study. I could hear you all the way down the hall.
Is that why you brought that pathetic Rexine to take over? Is that why you told her not to mind our pathetic English?
Only wild pigs enjoy a smelly, messy bath. Something that I'd give easily. Who are you calling pig? Or maybe you want to skip the lesson so that you can go and skip on that pig bath. Rotten pig meat.
I cannot believe that I will be broke again.
How can anyone resist such a lucrative business? Strike me right now. Mr. Tisha has finished to be comparative.
What was ordered is different from what was delivered. Unajua ng'ombe ilitoka anakaa kama farasi. What are you doing? Angalia. Pole. Unaona kitu yoyote? Mimi niko na shida kiriri. Mimi si chailoko ya kukukopechanga na ulipi. Wamepatia mimi all sorts of medication. P3, P2, OB, yote mimi iko naye. Mchomanaji wa chai moto wa customer ni nani? Ni wewe. Enta fungwa peke yako.
Ni kuviga unaviga?
Ni kukamua na kamua.
Nisema ngwe.
Bogaka! Ala! Bogaka! Sickle cell warrior, proud of it.
I'm a sickle cell warrior. I'm happy I just turned 30 years old last week.
I'm a content creator, and of course, the reason why I'm here today is because I'm also a sickle cell warrior.
Sickle cell anemia is one of the group of inherited disorders known as sickle cell disease. It affects the shape of red blood cells, which carry oxygen to all parts of the body. Red blood cells are usually round and flexible, so they can move easily through blood vessels. Two sickle cell warriors explain more about the condition.
Sickle cell is a genetic condition that affects the red blood cells.